This Red Sox-Braves series is brought to you by Jeep, the most award-winning SUV lineup ever. And tonight from Fenway Park, the surging Boston Red Sox wrap up a 4-game series with the Atlanta Braves as the Sox go for the sweep and aim for their 5th consecutive win just before the Yankees come to town. Welcome back to Yawkey Way, everyone. Great to have you with us. I'm Dave O'Brien, delighted to be joined by the Rem Dog, Jerry Remy. And Jerry, this offense is absolutely clicking on all cylinders right now. Every facet of it is on fire. Dustin Pedroia right in the middle of it as he was last night with 5 RBIs.
He certainly is, OB. You know, right now he's hitting over 300, and there's a reason why, because he's using the opposite field quite a bit early in the season. We'll take a look at a couple of at-bats for Pedroia. One from the last road trip down to Atlanta. Takes a breaking ball, a pitch that he normally pulls. He's out on his front foot, but the hands stay back, and he's able to slice that ball to the opposite field for a double. And then last night, gets the ball back in the zone and takes it to the opposite field for the grand slam home run off pesky pole in right field. And of course, that drove everybody crazy in the Red Sox dugout. But when you look at the spray shot for Dustin, you look at last season, 2015, basically pulling the ball almost all the time. But here early in 2016, on your right, you can see an awful lot of base hits going to the opposite field. And that's by design. He wants to become the hitter that he was a couple of years back, where he uses the whole ballpark. So far this year, he's doing that.
So he keeps that up. We may see the grand slam dance yet again with all those shots to right field. Well, the Red Sox going for 5 in a row, and the baseball tonight on the mound goes to Clay Buchholz. He's trying to pick up his first win of 2016. Red Sox looking to sweep these Atlanta Braves coming up on NESN. To you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. By Subaru Retailers of New England, supplying award-winning all-wheel drive vehicles throughout New England. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Crowd gathering here on Yawkey Way. Red Sox about to finish up this series with the Atlanta Braves. The Braves will get out of town, and they know they will have taken a beating, because last night and the night before, the Red Sox bats absolutely booming. And a lot of those shots to the opposite field. But David Ortiz, of course, right in the middle of it. He had 3 doubles, and this one nearly got out of the ballpark. Another inch or so, and that's a home run. Travis Shaw with his first career triple. That one toward the triangle. A 3-base hit, an RBI for Travis. And a great night for Dustin Pedroia. That was his 2nd home run as he drove it up into the monster seats. The first home run, Garen Austin, went to the opposite field. And as we go down to Garen, that's something we're seeing a lot more from PD and the rest of the Red Sox.
That's right, Obi. What a huge night for Dustin Pedroia, who has made a conscious effort to utilize the whole field. I talked to hitting coach Chili Davis for the team's approach on taking the ball in the opposite direction.
I think it's just the fact that everyone's trying to play team baseball, you know, and no one player is trying to, you know, get that big hit, you know, the big home run. So they're taking what they get from pitchers and just, you know, working the ball left field, right field, center field. And the more they do that, you know, especially now that it's cold, because, you know, you can hit balls now that you think are homers and they're not going anywhere. So to be able to spray the ball around and be more consistent at this point in the season when it warms up, you know, you get a hold of one, they'll start going out of the ballpark.
As it did for Pedroia twice last night. They all feel like those home runs are going to start coming as the weather warms up. Red Sox and the Braves coming up to finish up the series in a moment. Is brought to you by high-quality Scion vehicles by Toyota. By T-Mobile, get major league coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the past year. By buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. And by Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. Sox and the Braves about to have at it. Clay Buchholz, this is his tradition. After he warms up, heads to the dugout, he finds a young fan, and he makes a Clay Buchholz fan for life. I love the look on that face. That was tremendous. That's something Clay does before every start. Now time for a look at the Braves lineup. It's brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. Nick MARKAKIS will lead it off, followed by Daniel Castro and ADONIS Garcia. Freddie Freeman's at first base. A.J. Przinsky the catcher. Jeff Francoeur and then Jace Peterson. Eric Ibar the shortstop. And Malik Smith is the speedy center fielder batting ninth. Up against Clay Buchholz, Red Sox starting pitcher, presented by your New England Audi dealers. He's 0-2 and trying to grab a win before April comes to an end. He's trying to keep that string of excellent starts going, too.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They are fifth in the American League with 10 errors in 21 games. Travis Shaw will be at third base. Xander Bogaerts the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second. And Hanley Ramirez, the first baseman, left to right. Chris Young, Jackie Bradley Jr. and Mookie Betts. And Christian Vasquez behind the plate for Clay Buchholz.
Tonight's umpires are brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. It'll be Andy Fletcher behind the plate, Mark Ripperger at first base, Joe West at second, and Kerwin Danley who make the decisions at third base. Where available, this telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP is presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota Certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas noches, amigos.
And the forecast is going to get chilly tonight. Right now 51 degrees. It is a bit breezy. The wind out to left at 15 miles an hour and somewhat overcast at the moment. Lights are on at Fenway as the Red Sox playing some very, very good baseball. Go for 5 in a row. And they're trying to knock off the Braves and make the Braves leave town with a 9-game losing skid. So it's on the shoulders of Clay Buchholz here tonight. Look at the standings. An opportunity for the Sox to move into first place should they win again and the Orioles lose to those red-hot Chicago White Sox, who the Red Sox will see on the upcoming road trip. But still, the Yankees have to come to town for the first time, so anticipation over that. And anticipation over tonight as the Sox go for 5 straight. And Markakis gets in. Clay ready for his first pitch. And grounded foul for strike one, and we are underway.
Well, Buchholz in his career 2 games against Atlanta, a record of 1-0 with a 5.40 ERA. Last year he faced them. He won that ball game, going 7 innings, giving up 6 hits and no earned runs against Atlanta.
1-1 on Markakis, a .273 hitter. He was 1 for 4 with a double last night. Clay has wrapped him up, though. He is just 6 for 41 against Buchholz. That's a .146 average. Pretty well hit. Jackie Bradley on his horse, headed for the wall, and that one is going to be off the top of that tin area out there. And it caroms back for a 2-base hit. Well, Markakis gets a lot of those. Something of a doubles machine. He had 38 last year.
Yeah, and a little bit of mistake out of the chute for Buchholz, too. He goes to the changeup, but he leaves it up in the zone. You see Vasquez set up away. The ball is a little bit away, but it's too high. And that's a good pitch right there for Markakis to plant off that left field wall. So the leadoff double man in scoring position with nobody out for the Braves here in the top of the first.
That is his 11th double here in the month of April. It ties a franchise record. Hank Aaron and Marcus Giles had it before Markakis just tied him. And here's Castro. Chopper to the middle. Pedroia has to make a sliding step, spins, throws. Oh, what a play. He got him. Down to third, Markakis.
Well, 2 things on this play. First of all, offensively, Castro makes a good job by getting the runner over, but a very good play by Pedroia. Now watch when he gets up how he spins the opposite way of what you normally would. He spins toward the outfield to make that throw to first base. So Dustin showing a little range to his right in the reverse spin. Why not, right? Momentum was taken in that direction. Just keep on going.
Cat-like. Here's Garcia. Adonis Garcia is their DH tonight. He hits a high pop-up. And Pedroia there, so this will not get it done. Into shallow right, the runner holding at third base, and there are 2 gone.
There's a good example there why the Braves are having trouble scoring runs. I mean, you got a man at third base with 1 out, infield back with the exception of Hanley Ramirez. The only place you can't score on contact is a ball back to the pitcher or 1 to Hanley at first base. See where Ramirez is? Instead of a ground ball or a long fly ball, you get a little pop up to second base. Runner at third has to hold. Now 2 outs.
Freddie Freeman now, their first baseman. He ended Atlanta's remarkable run of home run futility last night by hitting a home run. It had gone 15 games and 7 innings. Finally hit one in the 8th inning.
See Buchholz working from the stretch with the man at third base. That's because they've got the shift on Freeman. You can't allow that man at third base to get too far down the line. If he winds up, could be a steal of home.
1-1. Braves with an 8-game losing skid. They're 4-17, the worst record in baseball. They're already 10.5 games out of first place, with Washington ruling the roost in the National League East. The 1-1 pitch to Freeman. Now he's in front 1-2.
Chasing that fastball right at the top of the strike zone right there. 92 from Buchholz, little 2-seamer.
Now if he can get Freeman here, he gets out of it without conceding a run, despite the leadoff double. And the 1-2.
Back to the changeup that time. Very different than the one to Markakis that he planted off the wall. That one away and way off the outside edge to Freeman.
Sox have gotten an excellent string of starts from Rick Porcello, David Price, Stephen Wright. Clay Buchholz trying to keep that rolling. Here's the 2-2.
I love it. You see Vasquez on that. They wanted the fastball away, so what does Vasquez do? He taps inside because hitters can hear that, so he thinks the catcher's moving inside. Instead, they go away.
Full count, 2 down, runner at third. And inside, made him jump back out of the way, and he missed with it. So he walks Freeman, and they're on the corners for A.J. Brzezinski.
Yeah, that's the pitch right there that Buchholz likes to throw to lefties. That two-seamer that tries to come back to the inside corner. Not quite this time, not quite enough. That's how he likes to get lefties out.
You saw Vasquez try and pull it back a bit.
See that late movement on the fastball, that tailing back to two-seamer. Actually had Freeman jumping out of the way.
A.J. Brzezinski now last night got career hit number 2,000 with a second inning single. And he is 6 for 15 against Clay Buchholz. That's a .400 average. So Clay's going to have to be careful with this guy. He deals him a strike.
Brzezinski, a notorious first ball hitter. That time taking the first pitch, it was a cut fastball from Buchholz.
Markakis at third, Freeman at first. No score here in the top of the first inning. The 0-1 waved at and missed. He tried to hold up midway through. He knew he wasn't going to get that curveball, and the count's 0-2.
Completely fooled that time by the breaking ball. First curveball that Buchholz has featured tonight, and Brzezinski cannot control the head of the bat. Almost a complete swing right there.
You may get that again. Two strikes on Brzezinski, and he left it high.
Trying to change the eye level right there. Instead of going down with the breaking ball, he goes upstairs with the fastball, trying to get Brzezinski to chase it. See if they go back down with another breaking ball.
AJ's always been a hitter who loves to swing the bat. He does not sit around and wait for ball 4.
Fastball up.
A shot out to right. Betts racing back. He's got it. And Clay Buchholz is out of the inning. Well, it's been a great first inning in recent days for the Red Sox. Trying to get on top here again against Atlanta. Lineup is brought to you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. And Mookie Betts will start it. Then Dustin Pedroia and Xander Bogaerts. David Ortiz, the DH, with Hanley Ramirez at first. Travis Shaw. Chris Young is in left. Brock Holt resting tonight. Jackie Bradley in center field. Christian Vasquez, the catcher, batting ninth. Julius Chacin is the pitcher. A right-hander. He's a big guy, 6'2", about 250. 28 years old, from Venezuela. Chacin with a record of 0-1 and a 3.18 ERA. And Jerry, he's actually been one of their better starters lately.
Actually has. And you know, the Red Sox have not seen him since 2013 when he was a member of the Rockies.
He's also pitched for Arizona as Mookie knocks a foul.
Red Sox from him will see the fastball, a cut fastball, slider, changeup. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate between the cutter and the slider.
Atlanta signing him as a free agent back in December. And the 1-1 to Betts. A strike. Mookie 1 for 3 with a walk last night. He did extend his hitting streak to 8 consecutive games. And again, for the 7th time in 8 games, the Red Sox scored in the first inning. They've gotten very fond of that, as they scored twice in the first and 4 in the second.
And so far, he's just really tried to bury inside to Mookie Betts.
As mentioned, just the occasional changeup. 1-2 coming. Even now on Mookie.
It's kind of a dangerous pitch right there. I mean, if he misses a little bit to the inside corner, that's a pitch that Mookie can drive a long way.
No score here in the first inning. Roll toward third, but a foul. He caught his foot with it. And you could hear him yelp in pain there.
Yeah, once again, a pitch inside, and right on top of it is Betts. Right off, it looks like the top of the foot or the ankle.
So Mookie has to shake that off quickly. During his hitting streak, he has scored 12 runs. So he's getting on and he's getting in. The 2-2. Full count. Sox coming in at 12-9. They've won 4 straight games, the longest winning streak of the season so far for Boston. Last year, the Sox last day over 500 was the 1st of May. 3-2 waved at and missed as he went after that slider. Down he goes for strike 3.
Now the Braves defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They are 13th in the National League, 18 errors in their 21 games. Daniel Castro will be at third base. Eric Ibar, the shortstop. Jace Peterson at second, and Freddie Freeman, the first baseman. Left to right, Jeff FRANCOEUR, Malik Smith, and Nick Markakis. A.J. Przinsky doing the catching.
And last night's star, Dustin Pedroia, had 5 RBIs, hitting 2 home runs. Also hit his first pesky pole home run, and he made it a grand slam. And he socks another one toward right field. That one's slicing down the line. That's going to be a fair ball. It's going to bounce right to the feet of Markakis, and Pedroia has a double. He's picking on that area.
He certainly is, Dave. You know, we talked about that in our open tonight, how, you know, the majority of the Red Sox players are using the whole field, but in particular Dustin Pedroia. Now look where they're playing him on the infield. They're playing him to pull, but shading him slightly to the opposite field. He's able to keep that ball fair. A fastball that again is middle plate. Now that's a very similar pitch to what he hit the pesky pole with last night for the grand slam. That ball just barely in fair territory as it rolls around the boards, and Pedroia in scoring position at second base.
Kicked up some chalk there. So a 2-base hit for Pedroia, who started the night as the number 5 hitter in batting average in the American League at .333. And Bogaerts with an opportunity to get the Red Sox out in front in the first inning yet again. He's hitting .280 with a homer and 10 runs batted in. He takes a ball.
He got a huge gap in left center field. They are playing him way over toward right field and fairly shallow. Malik Smith in center field. Where is he going?
Looks like he's going to second base.
Yeah. He's dropping back a few steps. Quite a few steps.
Xander was 0 for 3, but he walked twice last night. And another one low, boxed around by Przinsky, but no advance. White Sox, by the way, already out in front of Baltimore. That's 2-0 in the first inning. Mention that because if Baltimore should lose and the Red Sox should win, the Sox would actually be in first place going into the Yankee series. The 2-0. Now 3 balls and no strikes with David Ortiz on deck. I don't think you can hit a ball at Fenway Park and be closer to a home run than what David did last night.
That was incredible. It took another look from the umpires, but they quickly decided the ball, yes, was in the field of play. But you're right, Dave. Very, very close.
Taking all the way in the strike. Over that 379 mark. See that dent? It's still there. One of his 3 doubles and a big night for Big Papi. 3-1 and he walked him. So the Red Sox will have runners at first and second in David's first plate appearance tonight. David 3 doubles and 2 RBIs last night.
Quite a night for Ortiz. First of all, pulling the ball through the shift and down into the corner. Taking the ball off the left field wall, going to the opposite field, and then straight away center field where he just missed the home run. So big night for David Ortiz.
David 29th all time in RBIs and 26th all time in home runs. He takes ball 1. .300 career doubles here at Fenway. Sox trying to get off to a fast start again, and in there for a knee-high strike.
See the shift put on David Ortiz. That means the shortstop Eric Aybar will have to become a pivot man at second base if the third baseman gets an accident ground ball. Here's Aybar shifted over to the second base side. He'll become the pivot man on a ground ball to third.
Chacin with a 1-1, and it's high and tight. Ortiz with 11 doubles now. He's tied for the American League lead. These cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. David Ortiz, the first Red Sox player age 40 or older with 3 or more doubles in a single game. He went into the game needing 1 extra base hit to tie Ted Williams and Jimmy Fox for 17th on the all-time extra base hit list. 1 more double to set himself up for 16th place in doubles, and he charged past everybody last night. Ground ball right side. First baseman Freeman will sling it into second, and that is all they're going to get. Down to third base is Pedroia. Ortiz beating it up the line.
Well, the Red Sox very fortunate that didn't end up being a double play. I thought they had a chance at first base on David Ortiz.
Now Joe West talking with Aybar here, kind of arguing with him a bit on the play at second.
Well, they got the out. Let's see what the argument may be about. Oh, he called him safe. He called him safe. Then Bogaerts must have came off the bag before time was out. Then he tags him out.
Wow.
How about that?
I guess Xander Bogaerts never heard him.
No. There's the throw. Now he comes off the bag clearly. They call Bogaerts safe at second base. Now Xander doesn't know that he's safe. Time has not been called, and as soon as Bogaerts comes off the bag, that's when he is tagged. Now, if the save sign is made, wouldn't you think the umpire would yell it out there that he's safe?
Yeah, I would think so, to make sure.
Now, I don't know if he did or not. We can't hear from up here, obviously, but it looks like he just made the call because Bogaerts is looking right at him, and he has no idea. He points to the bag. There was no sign by West, and then he waits for him to come off the bag and calls him out on the tag.
What was interesting about that was Xander pointed to the bag as if to say, am I good?
Yeah.
Am I safe?
Exactly.
So John Farrell has a beef here.
Well, he's talking about a timeout. We could see him say timeout, so something to do with that. Here's the play. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he does come off the bag eye-bar. Bogaerts is safe at this point. The safe sign is made by Joe West. But Bogaerts doesn't know that he's been called safe. And he's pointing to the bag, asking him if he's safe. Nothing was said. He came off the bag, and then he's tagged out.
There's no way you're going to get that reversed, and the Red Sox will not get it reversed. So Xander is out at second base after leaving the bag. Originally ruled safe. So they'll be on the corners with 2 down, and Hanley Ramirez the batter.
That's a bizarre play here in the first inning.
Yep, very strange. Joe West, a 40-year umpire. And a line shot base hit into right field. That'll chase in Dustin Pedroia. And the Red Sox have that first inning run again and lead it 1-0.
Well, you know, we've been talking so much about opposite field hitting, and one of the best examples is Hanley Ramirez. You know, he doesn't have a lot of home runs, only one, but he's got a lot of these. First pitch, inside fastball, hands inside the ball, and driving the ball to the opposite field to drive in the run. So after the little bit of a delay, Ramirez picks up the RBI with Pedroia.
Ortiz down to second. And here comes Travis Shaw hitting a healthy .329, which is 7th best in the American League. Red Sox ahead 1-0. Travis with his first career triple last night and has driven in 15 runs in the first month. Chacin with a 1-0 pitch, and it's trickled foul.
Yeah, I was thinking about that play at second base too, and you know, a lot of times we have this new neighborhood play where the shortstop and second baseman have to touch the bag, but I think it's the throw that pulled Ivor off the bag there. It wasn't the neighborhood play that was involved. It was a throw that pulled him off.
And they've tossed out the neighborhood play. You have to get the bag, and it is reviewable. Loop foul, the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. I'd love to talk to Xander actually right now and ask him, did you ever hear Joe West say anything?
Couldn't have. There's no way, because he would not have left the bag had he heard safe being called.
First and second, and 2 out, a run in for the Red Sox. Trying to sweep this Atlanta Braves team. 4 in a row. 2-2. The Red Sox are leading the American League in runs, hits, batting average, total bases, doubles, slugging percentage, and on base percentage. And they really haven't begun to hit home runs yet. This is a home run capable lineup. 3-2.
Yeah, there's no question in my mind, OB, that the home runs are going to come. There's too many guys that can hit the long ball in this lineup. But as John Farrell said today, you know, we'll take the way it's going right now. He said, because we do lead the American League in runs scored. And any way you can put them across that plate, you do it.
Travis Shaw's hit 2 home runs. The runners go, and it's poked foul down the line as he hangs in there on a 3-2 curveball.
A good job by Shaw. That ball's on the outside part of the plate. And he's able to make contact, foul it off, give himself another chance.
Look at that, 375 with men in scoring position. Ortiz at second, Ramirez at first. Chris Young on deck. Here's the 3-2. Runners taking off again. There's a high pop-up behind first, foul ground. Freeman joined by Peterson. Peterson will make the play and right up on top of the short fence. But the Red Sox get 1, leaving 2, and once again in front after the first inning, 1-0. Lesson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Red Sox 1, Atlanta nothing as we go to the second inning. Jerry Remy and Dave O'Brien with it. So Clay Buchholz will get Francoeur, Peterson, and Ibar here in the second inning. Jeff Francoeur, the left fielder, hitting .289 with no home runs. And a guy who is Atlanta all the way. He was born there. He started Parkview High there. He was a football safety, and he was considered one of the best safeties in all of the country. He was an All-American in high school. He was recruited by Notre Dame and Clemson and Georgia and Florida State.
Pretty impressive list.
Choosing baseball in the end. Hot shot up the middle. A big bouncer there. Pedroia hauls it in and gets him.
Well, Pedroia making a couple of nice plays going to his right here early in the ball game. One where he had to spin the other way to make a throw at first base. This took a kind of a strange hop on him. Watch the last hop. Right there where it goes up high. And Pedroia able to make the play and get the out at first base. So they're keeping Dustin busy to his right so far tonight.
One gone for Peterson, the second baseman, hitting .205 without a home run. The Braves are doing something pretty cool coming up in July along with the Miami Marlins. They're playing a game at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, for the United States Army. And it's not an exhibition game. It's a regulation game. It's going to count in the standings. I was talking to Freddie Gonzalez, their manager, about this. They are building a ballpark on the base. Major League Baseball is absorbing most of the funding for that, most of the cost. And after the game, they're going to turn it over to the Army for recreational use. Fort Bragg, the home of the 82nd Airborne, very proudly.
Something you know about, right?
Indeed, my son's a member of the 82nd Airborne.
That's a great thing.
Jumps out of airplanes, perfectly good airplanes for a living.
Better him than you and me.
You can say that again. I'm very proud of my son Mike. He's in his third year of service. He 1-2 from Clay.
Now somebody's telling me in my ear that he had a midnight jump a couple of days ago.
He did. Well, you and I were flying. He was jumping out of an airplane.
That's sounds like fun.
A midnight jump, and he said everybody landed just fine. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. And down and in here on Peterson.
Cut fastball that time from Buchholz, just missing the inside part of the plate, a little bit low.
By the way, on that bizarre play at second base, they've charged a throwing error to Freeman, the first baseman. And that's down and in, ball 4. It skips away from Vasquez. So second walk issued by Clay. And that'll send up Eric Ibar. Fans, you can help NESN by taking a quick 2-minute survey and enter for a chance to win a VIP NESN experience at the ballpark on June 16th. Visit NESN.com/survey during tonight's game for your chance to win. Here's Ibar hitting just .147. He's in a deep, deep slump. 0 for 4, struck out 3 times last night. That's one of the reasons he's bunting. Good bunter, though. Shaw can't handle it off his fingertips. That'll be a base hit. Down to second moves Peterson. So Ibar not getting many hits, so he drops down a bunt.
That's a good idea. You know, when you're in a slump like Ibar is and you see that you have the third baseman even with the bag, you don't have to make a perfect bunt. And that ball was deadened just enough where Travis Shaw had to try with the bare hand right there. And you see it hit his thumb. He just couldn't get his whole hand around the baseball. I mean, the perfect bunt is right on the grass near the dirt. But that was deadened enough where it forced Shaw into trying to make a bare hand play. Couldn't do it.
Well, he had been just 4 for 31 against Buchholz. So 2 men aboard for the number 9 hitter, Malik Smith. 5'9" left-hand hitter from Tallahassee, Florida. He was the Braves 2015 minor league player of the year. Red Sox ahead 1-0, but that's in jeopardy here. When Smith arrived at Fenway on Wednesday afternoon for the start of the series, the first thing he did was climb up into the bleachers and sit for 10 minutes in the Ted Williams red seat, 502 feet from home plate. He just wanted to take it all in at Fenway. He rips that one down the line. That one's well hit into the corner, and it's going to bounce up into the stands for an automatic double. And so a run will score. That'll actually cost Atlanta a run, as the trail runner Ibar had to hold up at third base, and that ties the game at 1.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he gets a fastball here and hooks it, pulls it very hard. And if this ball stays in play, you're talking about 2 runs, and you're talking about Smith being on third base with a triple. It bounces into the stands, and that at least saves the Red Sox 1 run for the time being.
So now runners at second and third with 1 down from MARKAKIS, who ripped a double his first trip to open up the ball game. And a 1-1 tie here at Fenway. MARKAKIS out of that leadoff spot has driven in 16 runs. He's always a tough out. He takes a strike.
Well, that's one that Vasquez got him right there by pulling that ball back to the corner. That ball was clearly inside, but the way Vasquez caught it and pulled it back, he got the strike call. See a little movement with the glove?
The 0-1 to MARKAKIS. And a shot into left center field. That's going to drive in a pair of runs. Ibar is in. Smith is in. It's a 2-run single. They're hitting some shots tonight off Clay Buchholz. Second hit of the ball game from MARKAKIS. He's 2 for 2.
He's got 2 hits in the game. One was on a changeup. This time it was a curveball from Buchholz. You see the breaking ball, but it's not going to dip very low. And that's a good spot right there for any hitter. A breaking ball that's going to be just above the knees. And MARKAKIS taking that ball into center field to score the 2 runs. So he's got 2 hits tonight, and he hasn't hit a fastball for a hit yet. It's been a changeup and a curveball.
Daniel Castro gets in. He's 0 for 1 with a ground ball to second. Only 1 away in the inning, and now 3-1 Atlanta. He bunts but fouls it away.
And they're pulling out all the weapons tonight, aren't they? I mean, they're having trouble scoring runs. They're trying to drop bunts down. We saw Ibar do it to keep the inning going. We see Castro doing it. Just anything to generate some offense.
Castro's 0 for 14 in his last 4 games. And all of those against the Red Sox have really shut him down. But he was up from the minors last season, and in June he got his first major league hit, and it was against the Red Sox. Here's the 0-1. Softly hit. Pedroia has to charge it. 1 play to first base. That'll advance MARKAKIS to second. And there are 2 down.
Now, second time Castro has gone in that direction to Pedroia. Both times out at first base, but he does get a man in a scoring position. That ball was not hit hard enough for Pedroia to go to second base and get a force play. Had to go to first to get it out.
That'll send up their DH Adonis Garcia, who's 0 for 1 with a pop to second. Atlanta with 3 runs in here in the second inning. 2 men out. Garcia 0 for 4 last night to snap a 6-game hitting streak. MARKAKIS at second base, and the 1-0 pitch to Garcia. 1 ball and 1 strike. So this has been a struggle these first couple of innings for Clay. He allowed a double and a walk in the first inning. Brzezinski also lined out deep to right field. And in this inning, 3 hits, including a double, and 3 runs. Boy, Pedroia has been busy tonight. He gathers that one and gets him to retire the side. But it's a good inning for Atlanta. They scored 3 times. Sox are going to have to fight from behind tonight. 3-1 Atlanta. Don't miss Friday Night Fenway, presented by Budweiser. John Farrell will join TC on the field for an exclusive interview. Be sure to visit Game On tonight through Sunday for the chance to be selected as Budweiser's fan of the game. This Bud's for you. Red Sox trailing 3-1 as we go to the bottom half of the second inning. And as the bottom third of the order due up here against Chacin. That's Young, Bradley, and Vasquez. Against the right-hander from Venezuela. So far on the season, his control has been very good, walking just 2 batters in 17 innings with 19 strikeouts.
That was amazing. I was watching the center fielder Smith on that pitch, and he was shading Young way to the right field side, and he went into a sprint to get over to his new position, which is a little bit to pull. Obviously out of position and getting notice from the dugout that he's got to move. You see him getting the attention from the dugout, and then he moves into position.
3-0 pitch, and Young taking all the way. He's hitting just 174. But he does have a track record against this pitcher. He's 6 for 21 against Chacin, and that's a 286 average. Just on the corner. A generous call there from Andy Fletcher.
Yeah, very generous. There have been a couple of them so far in the game tonight from Fletcher. Ball appeared to be outside. Young thought it was outside, but pulled back by Brzezinski, and he gets the call.
The 3-2. Rocketed, but foul as he pulled it too much. Brock Holt has the night off. He's been playing a ton, so resting this evening, at least at the outset, but very much into it. To no one's surprise, here comes the 3-2 again to Young, and popped him up. That one off the fist, going to loop toward right, but there's Peterson. One man out. Follow Red Sox baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment with Game Day, live game video, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball, on your smartphone or tablet today.
Yeah, I asked Brock Holt today about that dance that he and Buckholz were doing after the Grand Slam last night. That was not practiced at all. That was right off the cuff. I mean, it was, great choreographers just come up with stuff.
The great ones just do.
They just do it, and they did it last night.
This is totally spontaneous.
Right, middle, left. Right, middle, left. I mean, yeah, that was. I thought they had practiced that.
There's a line drive base hit to the left, as Jackie Bradley's been doing this more frequently, taking it to the opposite field. He's got himself a single.
Yeah, they play him in the shift, and he's kind of keeping in tune with everybody else in the lineup by using that opposite field. And you can see the big hole over there. Nobody at shortstop. The line drive, I think it was probably too high anyway, had there been somebody at shortstop to be able to make a play on it.
Vasquez now 214, no homers, no RBIs. Christian has a little 3-game hitting streak alive right now. Red Sox trailing 3-1. Inside, popping out of the mitt. There goes Jackie. Przinsky went face forward, and look at where that throw went. It trickled, not quite to second base.
Well, he slipped. Watch him pick the ball up, and then it's like he's on skates. He just goes down, and the ball goes directly down into the grass, rolling out towards second base.
That'll be a pass ball.
I mean, Bradley was going to make it anyway, but just embarrassing for Brzezinski is all. He lost an edge.
And it'll live forever because it was on television. So Jackie Bradley in scoring position here with one down. Swinging bunt. The pitcher, Chassin, will throw and get him down to third as JBJ with 2 down. So it'll be up to Mookie Betts to pick up this RBI and get the Red Sox a little bit closer. 3-1 Atlanta.
Well, the Red Sox had a 2-out RBI in the first inning when Hanley got the base hit. And now they need another one from Mookie Betts. Just a little tap down that first base line. Good job by the pitcher throwing the ball over the head of Vasquez, not hitting him in the back. Because I do believe Vasquez was in the proper line going down to first base.
Mookie Betts 0 for 1. He struck out first inning on a slider. Two down, 3-1 Atlanta in the second. And he starts him with a breaking ball. Another slider. Dustin Pedroia on deck. Foul tipped into the mitt. Well, that particular breaking pitch is giving him some trouble here in the early going.
And keeping the slider away from Mookie Betts. Brzezinski called for it again, but now he's going back to the fastball.
And foul tipped in the mitt, and down he goes on the heater for strike 3. He has struck out twice. One man is left. 3-1 Atlanta after 2. Sox Baseball on NESN is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. 3-1 the Braves as we go to the third inning, and Freeman rockets a foul. Freddie Freeman leading it off. He walked in the first inning. Last night hit his first home run since opening day. He'll be followed by Brzezinski and then FRANCOEUR, really the tough part of their order. The 0-1 right through it.
Right now, Clay's having a difficult time getting the ball down. The curveball and then the changeup so far to Freeman, and both pitches have been a little bit higher than he would like. Now he wants the fastball high. If you're watching for the first time, anytime a catcher gives a sign and points up, that generally means they want the fastball up in the zone, up and out of the zone. Ahead in the count 0-2. Back to the cut fastball.
One and two.
And the changeup.
And he got him with it. And he collects his first strikeout on the change.
Now that's a little better location right there for Clay. You'll see the location on this changeup. It's going to be down at the bottom of the strike zone, and that's exactly where he wants it. Some of them so far in this game have been elevated a little bit too much, along with the curveball, but that time he did get it down in the zone and gets the good result.
Alexis donating $50 for every Red Sox strikeout this season to the Greater Boston Food Bank. Brzezinski flares a foul. He lined out to right his first time up. I mentioned he got his 2,000th career hit last night. He now ranks 10th all time in hits by a catcher, and leads all active major league catchers with 1,886 games caught. Dead away center field. JBJ backs up shy of the track for the second out. And that'll send up Jeff FRANCOEUR. Well, DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing on DraftKings right now. Play free daily using the promo code NESN at DraftKings.com. FRANCOEUR is grounded to second base. One of several already to Dustin Pedroia tonight. 3-1 Atlanta here in the third, and that'll be strike one. Two down and the base is empty. We mentioned he was recruited by a lot of big time college football teams. In fact, one night Clemson coach Bobby Bowden was visiting the FRANCOEUR home, and a phone rang, and it was the other Bowden. It was Bobby Bowden of FSU. Tommy Bowden was in the house. High fly, dead away center, and Bradley there. Tommy grabbed the phone and hung up on his dad. Said, stay away from this kid. A good inning for Clay. Gets him 1-2-3, and Atlanta has the lead 3-1 at Fenway. Grateful Dead night here at Fenway, but don't forget that the Dead and Company perform live at Fenway Park on July 15th and 16th. It's all part of the Plainridge Park Casino Fenway Concert Series. Tickets are still available at redsox.com/Dead and Company. And of course, we don't have to tell you about appropriate attire. Dustin Pedroia with a double and a run in the first inning.
They'll be coming in vans, and Cheech and Chong, and everybody will be here.
Up the middle of second baseman Peterson hit right at his feet. And that's a fast first out in the third for the Red Sox.
Well, you talk about a consistent effort to try to move the ball the other way. If that wasn't a great example by Pedroia, I know it turns into an out, but very seldom do you see Dustin take a swing at a pitch like that and move it to the opposite field. Most of the time he's pulling it. But we'll take a look at the location of that pitch. You see it's down and in. And most of the time we see Dustin hooking that ball or pulling it to left field. Look at the location right there.
Xander Bogaerts eyes a strike. He took a walk in the first. David Ortiz on deck. 3-1 Atlanta. Chacin's next one is down and in to make it 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1. Little miss downstairs. Xander grew up admiring Derek Jeter in a big way. That's the reason he wears that number 2. Yankees coming to town tomorrow for the first time in 2016. He would not offer, just off the edge, and the count goes to 3-1.
Now here's where Xander has to look for a ball middle in, something that he can pull and drive. Try to narrow that zone down a little bit with 1 out. They're going to go away with a fastball.
And he punches that one on the line into the alley. That's on the grass. Trying to cut it down to Smith. Bogaerts heading for second. He'll reach easily, standing up with a double. That was a bullet.
That really was. He got the fastball right down the middle of the plate, and that's where he should be looking, middle to middle in. And he gets the fastball middle and takes it up the middle for the base hit. So some very nice hitting by Bogaerts. That's kind of a picture perfect swing right there. Head on the baseball. Good discipline with the head. Pretty good job also by Malik Smith in center field to track that ball down. Well, Bogaerts might have had 3 on that.
Here's David Ortiz. He's 0 for 1 tonight. And a base hit could make it 3-2. That's a strike. David disagreeing with the home plate ump Andy Fletcher there. Fletcher has had a wide strike zone in the early going. One out. Bogaerts at second. Off the mid of Brzezinski. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, we talked last night about catchers when they have a man at second base, how they'll throw down multiple signs. So you don't want that runner at second base just seeing that one sign. He can pick that up and relay that in some form or fashion to the hitter. So that's why the catchers go to a variety of signs. And it's hard at second base to figure out exactly what they're doing. Five different signs that time from Brzezinski.
The 1-1 from Chacin. 2-1.
Of course, you notice the nails being painted by Brzezinski. That's not for style. That's so the pitcher can pick it up easier. Some pitchers have a difficult time seeing the signs.
The 2-1. Hammered foul. You suppose Brzezinski has a whole nail kit with different kinds of polish and everything?
Yeah, they come specially made for catchers now. They used to just use sometimes whiteout on their fingers, but now they have these special things that companies send them, and slap them right on their fingernails, and get them in multiple colors, Dave.
I remember the whiteout days. I mean,
yeah.
That stayed. Put that stuff on, that stayed. 2-2. Tried to hold up, but he went, and that's strike 3. Runner holding at second base as Ortiz strikes out. So that'll be out number 2. David with an unhappy at bat there.
Very unhappy. He tries to check the swing here on a slider. There's no question he did swing at that, but I think David was upset about a call earlier in the at bat as he kind of turned toward Fletcher on the way back to the dugout. And we talked about Hanley, you know, this year going to the opposite field a lot and how he's changed his swing from a year ago. And a year ago he was pretty much strictly a pull hitter, the way that he set up to hit.
Hanley has an RBI single, and he'd like another one right here. That would make it a 3-2 game. Sox down 3-1 at the moment here in the third. And a strike.
If you look on the screen, on the left side is last year, where his feet are close together and his hands are a little bit higher. You can see on the right hand side, which is this year, he's spread out, doesn't have that violent high leg kick like he did a year ago. He still has a leg kick, but not as violent as it was, and he's trying to hit the ball the opposite field more in doing so.
One ball and one strike on Hanley.
It just kind of makes sense, Dave, when you see that kind of setup for Ramirez. He's seeing the ball better, I think, than when he had that high leg kick and was trying to pull everything and drive the ball, you know, 900 miles on every swing.
So far, just one home run on the season. And that'll drop in for a called strike. He was 1 for 12 against Chacin in his career before tonight. And the one hit was a home run. Bogarts at second, 2 down, 3-1 Atlanta. Third inning at Fenway. Red Sox trying to sweep. There's a drive, socked to left, that's deep and high off the green. That'll drive in the run easily. Hanley halfway, the throw gets away, and now he'll trot up to second base. So he'll pick up the RBI, and the Red Sox are within 1. And another shot high off the monster.
Oh, that ball was crushed by Ramirez. So he got a breaking ball and plants it at the top of that left field wall. And, you know, he would have been out at first base had they cut the ball off. There's contact. It's a bad slider. Stays inside, and Ramirez able to pull this ball and pull it very hard. Then as he rounds first base, he thought he had a home run. As he rounds first base, he got about halfway between first and second. And fortunately, they didn't cut the ball off. They let it go, and Hanley was able to get in a scoring position. Here comes the throw in. Now watch it get by right there. Nobody makes the play on it. Hanley was trapped between first and second. But because of the overthrow, or underthrow, I should say, he's able to get in a scoring position.
Travis Shaw takes one outside. They're going to rule that a double all the way.
I'm a little surprised at that.
As you're right, he was dead to rights.
And he
had stopped.
He had stopped.
The Red Sox within 1. Hanley's 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs. Hit the ball sharply twice. Shaw 0 for 1. He's popped to second. That'll twist foul out of play to the left by Travis. Red Sox have absolutely had Atlanta's number for a long time. You go back to May of 05, they have gone 23-7 against the Braves. For Freddie Gonzalez, that's getting old. He's ready to get out of town. Tied him up inside on a fastball. They count 1-2. Chris Young on deck. Should it get that far. Ramirez at second. And a run in. And Chacin with a 1-2. And he left it down and in.
Tried that exact same pitch he got the swing and miss on, but that time a little bit too far inside, and not tempting for Shaw to swing at. But he tried to go back in that same direction as pitch number 3.
Two coming. Another foul down the left field line. Well, you get it up into that jet stream tonight. It's blowing out there to left and left center. It's going to carry.
Yeah, that wind has shifted through the course of the day. It was blowing in this afternoon here at the ballpark, and now blowing out toward left field.
Braves on top of the moment, 3-2. And a 2-2 again to Travis. Will not be made. Yankees coming to town this weekend. Don't miss your chance to see the first game of the rivalry series. Get your tickets right now. RedSox.com/tickets. There are seats available for the Sox and the Yankees right through Sunday night. Here's the 2-2 and a roller foul as he hangs in there. Shaw will spoil some very good strikeout pitches.
Yeah, you're right, Obi. He's had some very good at bats on tough pitches, fouling them off and giving himself an opportunity to see another pitch.
Let's see if this is something he can handle and pick up an RBI, which would be his 16th. Three and two. Travis had a triple last night, but he also took a pair of walks. And Ramirez standing at second. He just drove in Xander Bogaerts. They both doubled. And now the 3-2. Bounding ball to Peterson, and from the dirt will throw him out to retire the side. The Red Sox get a little bit closer, and after 3, it's 3-2 Atlanta. Looking for youth baseball and softball teams to be a live studio audience for NESN Clubhouse. Visit NESNClubhouse.com. Click on studio audience to enter your son or daughter's team today. On to the 4th inning. Clay Buchholz coming off a nice 3rd inning where he got him 1, 2, 3 and a difficult part of their lineup. Now he gets the bottom 3rd of the order. That'll be Peterson, Ibar, and Smith. And all 3 of them scored in the 2nd inning as Atlanta took a 3-1 lead, and the Sox have bounced back to add another run, now 3-2. Peterson walking and scoring in the 2nd. And the 2-0 pitch. That's a strike. Play 1-0 against Atlanta in 2 career starts. Both of those at Turner Field. Last year, he limited the Braves to 2 unearned runs over 7 innings. Now 3-1. Hitters count for Peterson. Here comes. All filled up now.
That's really not a pitch you want to swing at. 3 balls and 1 strike. I mean, that's a pitcher's pitch there. Fastball to the outside part of the plate. You're trying to narrow your zone down to something middle in, and instead he swings at a pitch that's away from him and fouls it off.
The 3-2 coming. And he walks it for the 2nd time. Let's get down to Garrett Austin.
Thanks, OB. Well, Eduardo Rodriguez is on the mound tonight in Pawtucket. John Farrell said they'll get him up to 80 pitches, 5 or 6 times up and down is the goal. He'll start again on Tuesday, and they'll reevaluate him after that to see how he's feeling and handling the workload before they decide on the next step. And guys, Farrell said he's making progress and getting closer to returning.
Well, very good news on Eddie Rodriguez, who of course injured that knee pretty early during spring training and has been battling his way back ever since.
Yeah, I was very concerned about that when it happened. Anytime you see a knee issue like that, especially for the pitcher, you know, you kind of worry about it, but he is making the long battle back, and hopefully after a couple of rehab performances he'll be back in the rotation for the Red Sox.
Well, Henry Owens will start the series against the Yankees tomorrow night against Masahiro Tanaka in game 1 at 7:10 at Fenway. Here's Ibar. Back in Peterson. He is a threat to go.
Yeah, they should do something. You know, they've been having trouble scoring runs. They got a lead 3-2. They should try to keep pressure on the Red Sox by either trying to steal, maybe a hit and run. Try to generate some offense.
Ibar bunted his way on a terrific bunt single his first time up.
Actually, with this combination of Buchholz and Vasquez, I think a stolen base would be very difficult. The hit and run might be more of an option.
A sizable hole there on the right side with the runner getting his lead. And the 0-1. Swinging away and fouling that one. Fans with Benjamin Moore, you can paint like no other. Go to benjaminmoore.com to find your nearest retailer. Ibar, even with that bunt single in the 2nd inning, is 7 for his last 55. Switch hitter from the Dominican Republic. Nobody out, Peterson on. That one knocks the bat out of his hands as he let it fly, and the count moves to 1-2.
That certainly sends a message right there. A fastball up under the chin on an 0-2 count, and you can see Ibar kind of leaning out over the plate, down by 2 strikes. He's trying to protect the outside part of the plate and gets that fastball in, up and in. See how Vasquez tries to approach him now on the 1-2 count. Looks like Buchholz wants to go back in. There's a bunch of signs. None of them were inside. Let's see what Vasquez goes to. Cut fastball inside.
Play with a 1-2. Runner holding. Hammered foul again.
That's 2 pitches inside. Now let's see if Buchholz goes to something off speed, maybe a changeup down and away.
He has walked 3 men. He's only struck out 1. Red Sox pitchers are leading the majors with 10.42 strikeouts per 9. They've really been off the charts with the strikeouts.
They are going to the changeup.
And he spoiled that one.
That's a good job by Ibar right there. After a couple of pitches inside, he gets the changeup that's down and out of the strike zone and still able to foul it off. That's the pitch that Buchholz certainly wanted to get him on after 2 pitches on the inside part of the plate. Back to the changeup again. The wiggle is a changeup.
Ibar, a tough man to whiff. Pedroia to his left. Will throw into second off balance. Back to first, but not in time. Did get the lead man Peterson at second base for out number 1.
Well, what I like about that is you knew as a second baseman you had very little chance of getting a double play because you had to go to your left so far and spin around. So Pedroia doesn't try to rush it. He's just making sure he gives Bogaerts a good throw and leave the rest up to Bogaerts. But from that position there, just about impossible to turn a double play. Too far to go to your left.
Sends up Mallex Smith, who doubled in a run his first time up. Mallex, an unusual name. Everyone in his family has a name starting with the letter M. His mommy says was a big fan of the name Alex. So she put an M in front of it, and Mallex was born, quite literally. "5'9" and quite fast. Ibar at first, not running, and a strike.
Let's see Vasquez look in the dugout before he gives signs and what he's looking for to see what the call is from the dugout. Do they want to throw to first base? Do they want to pitch out? There's the peek into the dugout. No sign given. And Buchholz wants to cut fastball.
Runner takes off, and it's hammered to first and stabbed by Hanley right on the bag to get the out. Made a nice play there. Down to second moves Ibar. He was running with the pitch.
And they were trying a hit and run play, and you know we talked about that, how they've got to try to manufacture some runs. Hanley catches it with ball and glove on the first base bag, so he's got the out there. He had no chance to get up and make that throw to the shortstop covering second base to get the tag play. At least Ramirez right there keeping the ball from going down that right field line.
Braves on top 3-2. They have a runner at second base now for Nick Markakis, who has not been retired. He has doubled and singled, and the single drove in 2 runs. Nick Markakis, formerly of the Orioles, always been a very good outfielder. Real strong arm. In fact, when he was drafted many years ago, many clubs had him on the draft board as a pitcher because he touched 94 miles an hour. Most of you guys were your star pitcher in high school, too.
Not me. Terrible.
You were the exception.
Terrible.
2 down, a man at second. Here's the 0-1. Not to be made. You didn't pitch at all in high school?
No, not in high school. No. Nope. I don't believe I did unless I mopped up for somebody, but I don't recall doing that.
Well, when you can run, they want you other places. Here's the 0-1 pitch. 0-2 now, so Clay Buchholz has him in the hole. Now, don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game. TC and Steve Lyons break down tonight's game. You'll hear from Clay Buchholz and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but WB Mason.
Now, this is going to be interesting pitch selection here coming up, because when you look at the scorecard, Markakis has hit 2 off-speed pitches for hits tonight. A double with a changeup, a single, a drive, and a run with a curveball. It's been fastball so far to this point. Let's see what they do 0-2.
Knocked foul off to the left.
Stays with the fastball again that time, and that time Markakis late on the swing, but does make contact and fouls it off. Ball inside, a cut fastball, it looks like, from Buchholz. top of the strike zone, but Markakis able to foul it off.
He can be difficult to put away. He is their leadoff man. 0-2. Boy, just missed the top of that strike zone.
Yeah, comebacker that time by Buchholz, and almost had the strike call right at the top of the strike zone. Quite a bit of movement on that pitch, bringing it back to the corner, the inside corner.
1-2 on Markakis. 3-2 Atlanta here in the 4th inning. And now Vasquez will pay a mound visit.
Yeah, a couple of sets of signs given by Vasquez, and Buchholz has something in mind. That's what he wants to tell Vasquez right now. This is the pitch I'm committed to in this situation, 1-2.
Markakis with 2 out and runners in scoring position is hitting .462. So Clay has to be very careful here not to make it too sweet. Two and two.
Now, so far, he has not seen an off-speed pitch in this at bat. Has Markakis? It's been all fastballs from Buchholz.
Castro on deck. Ibar at second. And Clay Buchholz trying to hold in the 4th. Here's the 2-2. And now full count. It is the 4th time in the game that Clay has gone to a full count. He has walked 3 men, and one of them has come in to score. Two down, a man at second. And here comes. And a line drive into center field. That's going to drop down for a base hit and drive in the run. The throw home will not be cut off, and that'll make it 4-2. And Markakis strikes again. He's now 3 for 3 in the game, and that makes it 4-2 Atlanta.
Yeah, notice what happened that time. I mean, you know, after the first 2 at bats, we mentioned off speed, changeup, curveball. Well, it was all fastballs in this at bat. In the final pitch, a fastball inside that Markakis cleans out. So, you know, after the 2 hits, it kind of set Markakis up for something different. Buchholz gave him a number of fastballs, and finally on the 3-2 count, he takes it up the middle for the hit. So Markakis having quite a night.
He didn't have that kind of track record in his career against Clay Buchholz, and he had seen him plenty. He was just 6 for 41 coming into the game against Buchholz, but 3 hits tonight.
You know, I think you saw John Farrell before that last pitch kind of staring at Vasquez, almost like telling him, you know, you got first base open in this situation with a right-hander on deck. Let's not let Markakis beat us, but Markakis did.
Castro 0 for 2 and has grounded twice to second base. Four runs on 5 hits for Atlanta, 2 runs on 5 hits for the Red Sox. And the 2-0. Broke his bat, popped it up. Shaw there in very shallow left. And that will retire the side, but Nick Markakis is at it again, his 3rd hit. He's driven in 3 runs, 4-2 Atlanta. Poll question, and here it is. Do you like interleague play? Text 1 for yes, 2 for no. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply.
I think anybody that knows me knows that I'll be texting 2 for no.
2 for Jerry. Here's Chris Young. He's 0 for 1 with a pop up to second. Young to be followed by Jackie Bradley and then Christian Vasquez here against Chacin. Red Sox got a first inning run again on an RBI single by Hanley Ramirez to bring in Dustin Pedroia. And then Bogaerts and Ramirez both doubled in the third inning to drive in Xander Bogaerts. Now Atlanta's grabbed another run to lead it 4-2. And the 1-1 to Chris Young.
You know, it's interesting. Between innings, we saw John Farrell go up to Vasquez as Vasquez is getting ready to hit in this inning. And, you know, you wonder, I mean, you can't read lips, obviously, but you wonder it was about that situation with first base open and a right-hander on deck that we talked about. And MARKAKIS picking up the base hit.
Popped up the catcher, Brzezinski. He's there to drop it. Boy, he's had a rather embarrassing night.
Yeah, he has. You know, he had that slip and that attempted throw to second base, and this ball just popped right out of his glove.
It'll be an error. Remember last night in front of Pedroia's second homer, he didn't catch a pop up, and nor did the third baseman Castro, and they kind of stared at each other.
Now, last night, to me, this was on the third baseman. He should have called off Brzezinski and made that catch. Very tough for Brzezinski on that play. But tonight's action, the slip, and a little bit of an embarrassing moment there for Brzezinski, and certainly the drop pop-up.
Line into right. MARKAKIS will close on that and make the backhand catch. One man out. Time now to see who's been driving the ball, presented by Toyo Tires. Looking at the Red Sox offensive ranks. 278, that's number 1 in the American League. Runs per game, number 1. On base percentage and slugging percentage. Toyo Tires, the official tire of the Boston Red Sox. Not to mention stolen bases. Sox number 1 in the majors. And have yet to attempt one tonight, trailing 4-2. Jackie Bradley with a base hit his first time up, so leaving Jackie right at 250. He tears into that one, headed for the pesky pole, but he pulled it too much. A foul ball.
Yeah, I was thinking when Bradley was up here, and you look out at the defense and the shift that they play against him, they keep the third baseman in tight in case he bunts. Well, I wouldn't mind a bunt, but I'd like to see a drag bunt. Look how deep the infield is on the right side. You got the shift on. They're all deep on the right side. Maybe the drag one to pick up a base hit there.
Jackie last night made a splendid diving catch in the first inning. He almost seemed to hover over the outfield grass before finally making the catch and landing. One of the best plays all night in the majors. He flies that to left. FRANCOEUR, shy of the track, will reach up for that for the second out. And Vasquez will be next. Red Sox have not gone 1-2-3 so far tonight. Get expert emergency care without leaving the ballpark at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. The first aid station is located right behind section 12 on the lower concourse. Visit bidmc.org. Vasquez 0 for 1. He's grounded to the pitcher. Braves in front 4-2 in the fourth. Chacin with a 1-0. His best year came in 2014 with Colorado, when he went 14-10 and pitched nearly 200 innings, 197 in the third innings. So he's capable. And in for a strike. Right-hander from Venezuela, now 28 years old, and the 2-1. Routine ground ball to the second baseman Peterson. He will throw out Vasquez, and the Red Sox for the first time go in order. We've wrapped up 4. It's 4-2 Atlanta. The Geico Red Sox moment honoring the '86 Red Sox in their 22nd game of '86. The Red Sox would beat Oakland 4-3. Jim Rice homered, and he drove in 2 runs for the Red Sox. We are on to inning number 5 here at Fenway. Atlanta has the 4-2 lead. Jerry Remy and Dave O'Brien alongside. Garen Austin as well. It'll be Garcia, Freeman, Pierzynski against Clay Buchholz, and Jerry, he needs a shutdown inning.
He certainly does, and you get keep him right there at the 4 runs. Have confidence in your offense, and it really has been a struggle tonight. 1-1-2-3 inning for Buchholz.
Garcia is 0 for 2. He's popped up and grounded to second. Adonis Garcia, the designated hitter, spent the first 3 seasons of his pro career in the Yankees organization. He's originally from Cuba. And like Rusney Castillo, he was not a kid when he broke into the major leagues last year, 29 years old. He pops it up. Is it playable? Hanley looking for room. Over near that screen. He's right there to make the catch. Oh, he handled that very nicely. So the first out. Hanley Ramirez continues to impress and continues to get to places on the field and make plays that a lot of people didn't think he was going to be able to make.
Exactly right. There's a good example right there where he goes right up to the Red Sox dugout, reaches over, is able to make the catch on that. And for Buchholz, as you talked about, this is a big inning to shut him down right here. Give his offense, which has been very, very good, a chance to get back at the plate and get some more runs in this ball game. But it's been up and down for Clay tonight. Had the one easy inning, but it's been victimized by leaving some pitches up in the zone.
Drive just out of the range of a lunging Dustin Pedroia, so Freeman is on as he stings a base hit. So there will be no 1-2-3 inning here in the 5th inning for Clay. Freeman on for the second time. He also took ball 4.
Yeah, 4-game hitting streak now for Freeman. So as you mentioned, Dave, he's been on twice tonight. 6 for his last 13.
Now A.J. Pierzynski, who's had a fascinating night behind the plate. He has dropped a pop up and went face forward as his foot gave out trying to make a throw in foul territory. At the plate, he has lined out to right and fly to center. A couple of starts ago, Buchholz got a bunch of double plays. There's a lunge and a pop to right. And so A.J. Pierzynski will be a fast out. He is 0 for 3. Fans, you can help NESN by taking a quick 2-minute survey and enter for a chance to win a VIP NESN experience at the ballpark on June 16th. Visit NESN.com/survey. You can do it right now during the game for your chance to win.
We just saw Pierzynski at the plate, and we mentioned earlier in the ballgame how he likes to swing at the first pitch, and you almost got to approach him like it's an 0-2 count. And Buckles did throw him the changeup there with no balls and no strikes and got that fly ball out.
Here's FRANCOEUR. He's grounded to second, flied out to center. You don't have to remind him to swing the bat. Freeman on at first base with 2 down. FRANCOEUR still with good power, even though he has not homered this year. And the count 0-2.
There's a good changeup too from Buckles. Really had FRANCOEUR out in front of that one. Righty to righty changeup. Don't see a lot of those. We're seeing more and more, it seems like, this year than we ever have.
Clay looking for his second K in the book. And he will get it. A swing and a miss for strike 3. Side retired. 1 man left. We're at the midway point. 4-2 Atlanta. Every Red Sox hit this month, Echo Store Technologies donates $50 to the Greg Hill Foundation. Echo Store and the Greg Hill Foundation responding immediately to improve the lives of local families touched by tragedy. Echo Store Technologies, your data solution provider. Now on to the last half of the 5th inning. The Red Sox are trailing here, and there's a ground ball right to the feet of Freeman. Off the bat of Mookie Betts, who's had a quiet night. He is now 0 for 3. 1 out in the 5th, 4-2 the Braves.
You can almost book that. You know, when a guy strikes out twice in a game, 2-3 times in a row, the next time up they're going to be swinging at the first pitch, and that's exactly what Betts did right there, because you don't want to strike out again. It just happens so many times.
Now Dustin Pedroia, who doubled and scored a run in the 1st inning. He's gone 1 for 2 tonight. That was his 31st hit, and those 31 hits lead the American League. So off to a superb start. He's 5th in the American League in batting average. 5 RBIs last night, including the grand slam off the pesky pole, which absolutely delighted his teammates. There's a bullet caught by Ibar, leaning to his left. 2 fast outs here in the 5th. Pedroia, even his outs are noisy these days.
Yeah, that's a sinking line drive out to Ibar, and not that easy of a play for Ibar, but he's able to make it because of the sink on the line drive.
Xander Bogaerts with a walk and a double. He has scored one of the 2 Red Sox runs tonight. 4-2. The Braves have the lead in the 5th. So Xander now hitting .289. A called strike. Nobody on base and 2 fast outs for the Red Sox in the 5th, trying to get it going with 2. Xander coming off an excellent defensive season for himself. He was a Gold Glove candidate last year. Made just 11 errors. And has really matured as a top-tier shortstop.
That's what impressed me, last year about Bogaerts is the fact that, offensively he was having a great year, and I thought that overshadowed his defense a little bit because his defense was outstanding.
Amazing to think not too long ago he had been sent to third base. Unthinkable now. Now Brian Butterfield raved about his work. He said his feet have a consistent purpose on every play. He's carried that over to this season.
Yeah, that part of his game has really improved since he first came to the big leagues. When he first came up, he didn't look that comfortable over there. Then, of course, they had to move him. They moved him to third base, and that kind of messed him up. Once he got steady play at shortstop, you could see daily improvement.
As the count his way, 3 balls, 1 strike with 2 down. That one goes all the way to the backstop, ball 4. So he'll take his second walk. Now be sure to subscribe to NESN's YouTube page. Stay up to date on the latest sports news and exclusive interviews. Visit youtube.com/NESN right now. And here comes David Ortiz. And Freddie Gonzalez looking a little bit nervous at the moment.
Now a 2-out walk with a 2-run lead, and Ortiz coming to the plate will do that to a manager.
David's had some issues with the home plate umpire Andy Fletcher tonight. First one in there for strike 1. On a couple of questionable calls. David representing the tying run. He has hit 3 home runs, sitting at 506 career homers. Chacin with the 0-1. He took a big hack, but he floats it foul.
I had a good pitch to work on right there. The cut fastball right down the middle of the plate. And it was a home run type swing by Ortiz. Like to have that back again.
Indeed. This will be the 89th pitch from the right-hander. 1-2. They do have men active in their bullpen. Ogando, the right-hander, and O'Flaherty. Chacin's had some good innings, but the Red Sox are driving up the pitch count.
You'll see David step out a lot. And a lot of times you'll step out if the pitcher shakes off a sign. He gets something in his mind and doesn't want to be confused by the pitcher.
1-2. Cut on and miss. Down he goes, strike 3. So he's 0 for 3 tonight. Red Sox will strand 1, and through 5 it's still 4-2 Atlanta. Is a brand new site for car enthusiasts. Nesson Fuel, your new home for everything automotive. Visit NessonFuel.com and follow Nesson Fuel on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram today. Bluff bunt there by Peterson, who has drawn a pair of walks. On to the 6th inning, 4-2. Braves have the lead against Clay Buchholz. They got 3 of those runs in the 2nd inning, another run in the 4th inning. Give you a look at his pitching line, brought to you by Ace Ticket. 5+, 6 hits, 4 earned, and 76 pitches. For the right-hander from Texas.
Well, he's had a tough time with Peterson tonight. He's walked him twice, and he falls behind 3-0. He's doubled his walk total on the season, has Peterson. Tonight he's got 4 now total.
Came in hitting .205, and he walks on 4 straight. As you mentioned, for the 3rd consecutive time. Time for a game break. It's brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Here's TC. Oh, don't we know they can do that, TC? They love the long ball. Back at Fenway, 4-2 Atlanta. The leadoff man is on a walk. That brings up Ibar. This is a guy you can do a lot of different things with. He could bunt, he could hit and run, makes good contact.
Absolutely, and you know you've got some pretty decent speed. Obviously at first base, you got Ibar, pretty good contact guy at the plate. See if they do try something, try to manufacture something from the bottom of the lineup.
It's been effective for them tonight. Peterson is the number 7 hitter. He's been on 3 times. Ibar, number 8 hitter, has scored twice. And Mallex Smith, the 9 hitter, has doubled in a run. So they've been very effective in 7, 8, 9 against Clay. There's a line shot, but a foul ball. Hooked down the line. Some pretty good wood there by Ibar.
Getting in front of that fastball from Buchholz and hooking it right over the top of the head of Hanley Ramirez, who is coming off the bag.
Eighty pitches now for Clay. He has thrown 50 strikes. Here's the 1-1. And a strike over the inside edge.
You see Lavello, the bench coach, he's responsible for giving the signs to Vasquez. Vasquez will look over. And the signs are either, you know, it might be a pitch out, it could be throw to first base, it could be nothing at all. It's nothing at all. They call for a changeup. He's not giving pitches.
1-2 drifts outside. Last year during a long road trip, Red Sox got in late one night, like about 3 o'clock in the morning. Carl Willis was watching television when he checked into his room, and he called Torrey. And he said, "You got to turn on channel 17." And he turned on channel 17. And one of his dad's television shows, Hee Haw, was on. Torrey's father produced that show in Hollywood. Ground ball to third. That's a fair ball and snagged by Hanley. And he'll get the out at first base. Down to second, Moose Peterson. Right on top of the line. Hanley's had a couple of chances like that tonight.
Yeah, he has. You know, a couple of ground balls have been right near that bag, and his only option is to tag the first base bag with no chance of getting a tag play at second base. That ball just barely in fair territory, and there's Hanley tagging the bag. There's no play at second. So you got it twice. Second time just to make sure.
So 1 man away. That sends up Mallex Smith, who doubled in a run and grounded out 1 for 2. You get the feeling it's a big run out there at second base for Clay Buchholz.
Yeah, especially the way things are going tonight for the Red Sox offensively.
Check swing down into the dirt for a ball.
Clay going to a few more curveballs this inning against the bottom part of the lineup.
4-2 Atlanta here in the 6th. Peterson runs pretty well. He's the man at second with one away. And a breaking ball settles in.
Once again, the curveball from Buchholz to run the count to 1-1. Starts it away, comes back to the outside corner. A pitcher, left-hander, has a tendency to quit on. Thinks it's outside.
Line shot, base hit, right field. Here comes Peterson into third. They're going to wave him in. There will be no throw to the plate, and that'll make it 5-2 Atlanta. So the leadoff walk once again hurts Buchholz.
And the bottom part of the order tonight has hurt Buchholz. So 3 walks to Peterson, Ibar with a bunt base hit, Smith with 2 hits, and 2 RBIs on the night. And of course, the guy coming to the plate, Markakis, he's been on base 3 times, a double and 2 singles.
So Willis out to the hill, and the bullpen starts to move around. Tommy Lane is going to get going.
Take a look at Markakis' night. He had a double on a changeup back in the first inning. That pitch was elevated a bit. Then he has a breaking ball, a curveball in his next at bat that he takes to the opposite field for a base hit. And then it was all fastballs from Buchholz the next time, and he cleans out an inside fastball to center field for a base hit. So it's been quite a night for Markakis.
3 for 3, 3 RBIs. And again, only 1 out and a run in.
You were talking, Dave, earlier about the speed at first base, and Smith, we may see him take off with 1 out. Tough combination of run on Buchholz and Vasquez.
Markakis hitting right at 300. And he'll take a strike. Markakis grew up a huge Roger Clemens fan and wore the number 21 all through school and through high school. He wore it as a Baltimore Oriole as a tribute to Roger, but now wearing the number 22 because number 21 for the Braves is retired. That's Warren Spahn. 1 ball, 1 strike.
One thing you have to make that base runner aware of at first base too is the fact that Vasquez likes to throw behind left-handers to try to pick guys off first base.
The 1-1 runner goes, a strike, the throw, and he's safe. And Jerry, you guessed it, he took off and got himself a stolen base.
Yeah, it's the time to go. You know, there's 1 out in the inning. Try to get in a scoring position. You're having trouble scoring runs, and he picked the right pitch. He got a breaking ball that time. And that's exactly what base runners want. They want that off-speed pitch. He got it and was able to beat the throw of Vasquez.
His 3rd stolen base. And here comes John Farrell, and I think he wants him to take a look at that play at second. Going out to talk with Joe West. Let's take a look at that slide.
How does he go by the bag? Let's take a look. Head first slide.
And Bogaerts put down the tag. Was he off the base at the time the tag was applied?
Oh, we'll take a look from another angle. Does he pop off the bag at any point? He does at some point. It looks like his body might have come off the bag, and Bogaerts never took the tag off him. Now, you know, it's difficult to see if his whole body came off the bag, but certainly it looked like it on that last shot, that he kind of popped up, and for a split second there was no contact with the second base bag.
So the play is under review. The Red Sox are challenging.
Contact. Ooh, tough to tell if that knee's touching the bag.
Did they have enough evidence to overturn it? Ruled safe by Joe West.
So far from what I've seen, I would say no. There's another angle, but you can't tell if that knee is in contact with the bag. That's a tough one.
So they are going to take a look. Play is under review here with Atlanta in front 5-2 in the 6th inning. They've just pushed across another run on a base hit by Smith, and he's been ruled on the field as safe on that stolen base. If they overturn it, it'd be off the base and it'd be 2 down.
Just for me, I mean, from what the replays that I just looked at, it's not conclusive to me, and I would say he'd have to remain safe, but
I'd be with you.
They may see something else from a different angle. But I can't tell from any angle if the knee was not in contact with the bag.
For John Farrell, this is his 10th challenge of the season. He's had 3 overturned. 4 have been confirmed and 2 stood. And it looks like they may have an answer. Joe West on the left, Kerwin Danley on the right. And out is the call.
Wow.
So it is overturned. Woo. And John Farrell gets to retain his challenge moving forward.
Well, how about that? I mean, they had to be looking at something other than what we were looking at. We'll take one more look. There had to be a split second where he came totally off that bag. And Bogart's always had the tag on. Right there, do you see some air between the bag and the knee? Now, I can't tell there if the hand is still touching the bag. That's the problem. I still don't know. But I'll take the call.
So 2 men out. This is exactly how Clay wants to see Markakis, given away. He swung the bat tonight with 3 hits. Bases empty, 2 away. 5-2 Atlanta. So the ruling was he did come off the bag. And Bogarts made the smart play to keep that tag applied, which fielders do regularly now. Wasn't always the case.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You're seeing more and more guys just hold on to that baseball. We're seeing a lot of guys just slide by the bag. Late slides in the second base and going right over the top of it. Before that was automatic safe. There was,
yes.
You know, there was not even an argument.
For like 100 years. The 3-2 to Markakis. A little looper on the infield on 1 bounce. Bogarts flags that one down, and finally Markakis is retired. Atlanta does get another run in the inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 5-2 the Braves. Anniversary of Roger Clemens' Major League record 20 strikeout game. Tune in NESN tomorrow at 3:30 and encore on Saturday at 4:30. We relive the NESN broadcast of every Clemens inning from that historic night. Now the Red Sox are trailing by 3 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. A lot of time to make up the ground, but it'll be Hanley Ramirez to lead things off, and a good place to start. He has 2 hits and 2 RBIs, a single and a double. And that one's up the middle. A dive and a miss by Peterson. And Hanley is 3 for 3. Quickly on in front of Travis Shaw. And out comes Freddie Gonzalez, the manager of the Braves. And has he seen enough of Chacin here?
Looks like he has at 91 pitches.
So he will make the change and go to the bullpen and bring on the lefty O'Flaherty for Travis Shaw. So we'll take the break as well. It's Arcia called to the bullpen. 5-2. Atlanta has the lead here in the 6th inning, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Is brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers as he goes into the 6th inning and pitched pretty well, allowing 2 earned runs. The runner at first base, Hanley Ramirez, is his responsibility, and he gives way to the left-hander O'Flaherty, brought in to face Travis Shaw. So far 11 appearances and 0-2 record, and he's been knocked around a bit, so an opportunity, an open door here for the Red Sox. Travis has popped up and grounded out. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th. And Jerry, we can go back to that play at second base, and I think we can look at it and look at it. I think fans are just as frustrated as we are sometimes by what the umpires might be looking at in New York and why they choose to overturn or not overturn a call on a challenge. There's a shattered bat and fouled away by Shaw.
That was a very difficult one for me.
Big time.
You know, I even on replay, I couldn't really tell if there was air, complete air, between the bag and the runner, whether a hand was on the bag or the knee was on the bag. I just couldn't tell. Now you're going to see the hand hit the bag, then the body starts to come up. My question is, there is some air with the knee, but is the hand still on the bag?
1-1 foul back. And here's the other thing. I really would love to hear the umpires explain what they saw. And there it is again.
I still can't tell. I mean, I do see air, you know, but I can't tell if the hand was still on the bag. So, I mean, what I'm looking at, I can't make that call.
I realize Joe West made one call in the field. It was overturned in New York by a different set of umpires, but they are relaying why they made their decision to the umpires on the field. I think somebody should be wearing a microphone to explain to everybody in the ballpark and the fan at home.
Right.
And by the way, to us too, exactly what they looked at, how they made their decision.
They do it all the time in football, don't they?
Yep. I do not understand why baseball won't go that way. Hot shot down for it. Peterson to second. That's one. On to first and a double play. So 2 down just like that here in the 6th inning. Local Dunkin' Donuts franchises are proud to give back to communities in which they live and work. Thousands of kids have had the chance to catch a free Sox game thanks to Dunkin' Donuts. Tonight we welcome the Somersworth Boy Scouts to historic Fenway Park. Dunkin' Donuts committed to the community.
You know, with all that said, Dave, I like replay. I really like it a lot because, you know, the whole idea is to get the play right. And there was a time when, you know, I remember if the throw beat you to second base, you were out. Didn't matter what kind of slide you made. If you made a good slide, they were going to call you out.
High fly ball. This one tagged by Young deep down the line. And it's going to be off the monster. It bounces right past FRANCOEUR and into second base. Young, he's got himself a double, and he almost hit it out of here.
Young very happy to see a left-hander in the game as he takes one off that left field wall. See the location of the pitch. It's going to be middle in, and that ball is pulled. For a while, I thought the ball had a chance to get out of the ballpark, but it just kind of died out there in left field as it hit the left field wall up high. But Young in scoring position with 2 outs.
Well, you're liking the Red Sox chances a lot better tonight if Jackie Bradley can pick up this RBI with 2 down. And a lefty-lefty matchup. He has singled and flied to left. I'm with you. I think replay is working.
Oh, yeah.
I think the challenge system is very effective. I'd like to see it quickened up a little bit, and I'd like to see microphones on one of the umpires. But I think it's working. It's cleaned up a lot of missed calls in baseball.
Well, it's cleaned up a lot of missed calls, and you know, everybody always wanted to get it right. But before it was too automatic. I mean, like I said, if you slid into second base and the throw beat you, you were out. It didn't matter if you made a great slide or not.
Sure.
You would not be called safe. And the same thing, if you beat the throw, you would be safe. And even if you came off the bag, like that was a perfect example, that would have been a safe call. It's also taken arguments out of the game. A lot of these foolish arguments that they used to have. I mean, how many times do you see a manager argue now?
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Jackie Bradley fans. So despite a couple of hits in the inning, the Red Sox cannot score. It's 5-2 Atlanta. Going on right now at Jordan's Furniture. If the Sox and the Yankees meet in the League Championship Series for the pennant, you could win free furniture and mattresses. It's pennant fever, and it's going on right now. Go Sox. 7th inning, Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien with you. 5-2 Atlanta. The hits are even at 7. And Clay Buchholz back out there for a 7th frame. Taking on Daniel Castro, who's gone 0 for 3. A couple of walks have hurt Clay tonight. One in the second inning. That was Peterson. He came in to score. The leadoff walk in the sixth inning. Also Peterson. He came in to score. Tommy Lane still up in the bullpen.
It's really kind of weird when you look at the box score. I mean, it's basically the bottom of the lineup and the leadoff guy that has hurt Buchholz in this game tonight.
Well, no doubt about it.
And as you mentioned, he's also hurt himself by walking some people, especially leading off the inning.
Right, Peterson 3 times. Freddie Freeman once. 2-1 on Castro. 0 for 3. He's 0 for his last 16. And takes a ball in. Buchholz approaching 100 pitches. Here the fourth and final meeting with Atlanta. Red Sox going to have to rally to sweep them. That's a strike. And also rally to make it a 5-game winning streak with the Yankees coming in tomorrow night. Henry Owens against Masahiro Tanaka. Rick Porcello goes on Saturday. David Price on Sunday night. Red Sox are on Sunday Night Baseball 3 consecutive weekends. Punch to the right side. 2 hops for Pedroia. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final, presented by Plain Ridge Park Casino. TC and Steve Lyons will preview the Red Sox next series against the Yankees. Yankees are idle tonight. And Baltimore has been pouring it on against the White Sox. White Sox off to such a great start, but now it's 10-2. The Orioles. They have a half-game lead over the Red Sox in the division. There's a swinging bunt foul off the bat of Garcia, who is 0 for 3. Well, the Braves are one of those teams that are giving a lot of people a chance. People like Adonis Garcia and Daniel Castro and Jace Peterson and Malik Smith, and hoping they can grow into something.
Yeah, their new ballpark that they're building is kind of what the game plan is. Of course, their new ballpark, I believe, is supposed to be ready next season.
It is.
I'm not sure the Atlanta Braves themselves will be ready for it at that particular time, but they are going with a lot of young players.
And taking their lumps. They're 4-17, worst record in the majors. The 0-2. Knocked foul out of play. Sox will have due up in the bottom of the 7th inning. Vasquez, Betts, and Pedroia, and Bogarts if anybody reaches. Both sides have 7 hits. Breaking ball wide to make it 1-2. Over 100 pitches now for Clay. He's going to need some help tonight. Two and 2. Freddie Freeman on deck for the Braves. They got 3 runs in the second inning. Liner up the middle. It skips by Pedroia for a base hit. And so Garcia is on with 1 away. Time now to check out the results of our Dunkin' Donuts poll question. As John Farrell comes out, we asked, do you like interleague play? I thought Jerry was very firm with his answer. Question is, has he guided you in his direction? And here are the results that you have.
Well, actually, that surprises me a little bit. I'm not a fan of it, but a lot of the people, and I thought most of the people, were a fan of interleague play. And that's one of the reasons that it's stayed around. But myself, never have been.
Tommy Lane coming on. Clay Buchholz pitching into the 7th, but he's behind 5-2. And we'll be back at Fenway with more in just a moment. Dining Playbook. Billy and Jenny come to you from Myers and Chang in the South End. Plus, learn what local hotspots won the James Beard Award this year. Don't miss Dining Playbook Saturday morning at 9 on NESN. Driven by your New England Chevy dealers. Back at Fenway, 5-2 Atlanta. They have a runner at first base, and Tommy Lane is on. The left-hander making his 7th appearance, a .491 ERA. Ground ball, Pedroia with a dive, can't get to it. Garcia in the second, throw comes behind him, and both runners will be safe. And Freeman has his second hit tonight.
Yeah, he's been on base 3 times. He's had a nice night. A walk back in the first at bat, in his third at bat, a base hit on a fastball. This time he jumps on a first pitch curveball from Lane and quickly drives it by a diving Pedroia for the base hit. See the numbers for Tommy Lane. Appearance number 7, only 3 2/3. 3 hits allowed, and opponent sitting 214 off Lane. That'll go up a little bit on that base hit.
And we'll face the 39-year-old Brzezinski.
There's that top spin ground ball that gets by the dive of Pedroia and rounding second base. Garcia, but he holds.
So 2 on and 1 out. AJ tonight 0 for 3. And as is often the case, goes after the first pitch.
And got his pitch too. Got a fastball. That's what he looks for, obviously, on that first pitch. He looks in a certain zone. He got it. Fouled it back.
Brzezinski has caught nearly 16,000 innings. That's a lot of squatting. He'll be 40 this year. The 0-1. 0-2 now.
Jammed him up and in with that fastball. So 2 fastballs from Lane. Let's see if they go to a breaking ball down and away to Brzezinski on the 0-2 count. See if he'll chase it.
Jeff Francoeur on deck. It's Garcia at second, Freeman at first. The Braves have never trailed in this one. Here's the 0-2.
It's that breaking ball we were talking about, and a very nice job by Vasquez to block that and keep those runners at first and second. Trying to get Brzezinski to chase a bad pitch. And you've got to have confidence in your catcher to be able to throw a bad pitch.
Braves have not trailed since they scored 3 times in the second inning. Red Sox got the first run of the game in the first. The look in by the left-hander. And a 1-2. Makes contact. A little dribbler. Pedroia took a look at second but gets the certain out at first base as the runners move up. Now 2 men into scoring position. Ace Ticket has your seats to this weekend's Red Sox-Yankees series with ticket prices as low as $49. Get your tickets for this great rivalry series right now by visiting aceticket.com or by calling 1-800-MY-SEATS. So men at second and third now for Francoeur's at a quiet night. A grounder to second, a fly to center, and a strikeout, and Carl Willis will come out again.
Well, first base is open in this situation, and a lefty against a righty. Peterson on deck. We'll see how they what the strategy is against Francoeur.
Now don't miss the Charity Classic benefit concert featuring Grammy award-winning Lady Antebellum at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence. That's on June 28th. Get your tickets right now at Ticketmaster.com/charityclassic. So we'll see how they play this. And he is their leading hitter against lefties.
Yeah, and that, and also the fact that you look at the other thing too, he doesn't walk. He's a free swinger, so you might want to take a couple of chances just outside the strike zone, see if he'll chase.
He also has good power.
There's a good chance that they'll throw him a couple of pitches that are not strikes. If he doesn't chase them, they might intentionally walk him.
Peterson on deck. He has walked 3 times.
Now they are going to walk him.
So it'll be an intentional pass to fill up the bases.
I think this makes sense. First base open. Why fool with the right-handed hitter against a lefty? You tried to get him to chase a bad pitch on the first when he didn't do it, so go ahead and put him on. and take your chances with Peterson.
And there's ball 4, so the bases are going to be loaded. And Peterson is next. Tuesday, May 10, David Price bobblehead night at Fenway. The first 15,000 fans receive a David Price bobblehead courtesy of Nikon. For tickets and more info, visit redsox.com/promos or call 877-RED SOX 9. No place to put him now, and he's been a very patient hitter tonight.
And he's 10 for 17 in his career with the bases loaded. How about those numbers? Wow.
And the first one from Lane. Check swing and a foul ball for strike 1.
Vasquez on that, trying to knock that ball back into fair territory. Got a little chop out in front of the plate, and watch him take a swipe at it.
Two down, and Lane will step off. Now the Red Sox comeback chances tonight probably hinge on what happens right here.
Now a chance right here for the Braves to break the game wide open.
Lane trying to keep it 5-2. Tied him up, and the count 0-2 on Peterson. Made a good pitch there on a fastball.
Down and in on Peterson. No contact, so 2 pitches inside to the lefty. Now let's see if they go away.
The 0-2.
Wow.
Nice stop by Vasquez.
How about that play right there? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. That saves a run. Talk about a hard pitch to handle, and he handles it on 1 bounce. Almost like a first baseman stretching out.
Heath Hembree loosens in the bullpen for the Red Sox. He's been a hot hand. Lane trying to hold the 1-2 to the lefty. He got him. He strikes him out, and they leave him loaded. So the Red Sox are still alive and kicking. You know, Buchholz loved the effort. 5-2 here in the 7th.
It's a 5-2 ball game. Now remember, if the Red Sox win this 6-5, remember this play right here by Vasquez. I mean, that's incredible. And then Lane comes back with another breaking ball for the strikeout with the bases loaded. So a nice sequence there. A great play by Vasquez and a great pitch by Tommy Lane to leave the bases loaded.
Indeed. Well, here's Vasquez to lead off the bottom of the 7th inning. Still 5-2. Atlanta with a 3-run advantage. Ogando, who was with the Red Sox just last year, now pitching for Atlanta. They signed him as a free agent. 3-1 with a 3.99 ERA last year in 64 appearances with the Red Sox. He is prone to tossing ball 4. Has good giddy up on the fastball, of course. That one at 96 miles an hour.
Now still has that good velocity.
Vasquez is grounded out twice, 0 for 2. He'll be followed by Mookie Betts and then Dustin Pedroia here in the 7th. Red Sox trying to inch a little bit closer. And the 0-2. Sox are 12-9. They've won 4 in a row. Longest winning streak of the season so far. And trying to sweep 4 in a row from Atlanta. One-two to Vasquez, and in the air, foul on a play. Well, tonight, following Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, the Celtics taking on the Hawks right now to do or die Game 6. Highlights and reaction from the Garden. NESN Sports Today presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do. Vasquez trying to reach to open up the bottom of the 7th. And he makes contact but fouls it away.
You know, you look at the Red Sox in this game tonight, they really haven't had a lot of threats at all offensively. Did pick up a run in the 1st inning on a 2-out base hit by Ramirez, a 2-out double by Ramirez in the 3rd, but since that time they haven't had much to work with.
That is Hunter Cervenka, the left-hander in the Atlanta bullpen. Ground ball right side. Will it get through? Yes, under Peterson's glove. Vasquez aboard to start the 7th inning. He'll have a base hit.
I thought Peterson was going to get that on the dive. He goes to the outfield grass to try to increase his range a little bit. And it looked to me when he did go into the dive, he was going to be able to at least get leather on this ball. It gets by him. And Vasquez has the leadoff base hit, but it almost looked like it went under his glove.
Now Mookie Betts. Been a silent night for Mookie so far. 2 strikeouts and a first ball swinging grounder to the first baseman. So he's 0 for 3. Of course, a very hot hitter coming in. Extended his hitting streak to 8 in a row last night. Red Sox the #1 run scoring offense in the American League. So far held 8 hits and 2 runs. And a 1-0 from Ogando. 2-0. You would love to see 2 men aboard for Dustin Pedroia, the way he is swinging it.
Yeah, you know, right now you see the signs putting down by Butterfield. The only sign you're looking for now is a home run. Want that home run sign? Make it a 1-run game.
I like that sign. 3-0.
Is they're not going to run Vasquez. They're not going to hit and run down by 3 runs. There's nothing you can do right now. So it's kind of just show over there at third base.
Jim Johnson, the big right-hander, joining Cervenka. Three and 0 to Mookie with nobody out. And ball 4. Yank that one. So first and second, nobody out. And fans, you can help NESN by taking a quick 2-minute survey. Enter for a chance to win a VIP NESN experience too at the ballpark on June 16th. You can do it right now by visiting NESN.com/survey. Do it during the game for your chance to win. Well, there's the door opening up again here for the Red Sox, with Dustin Pedroia to climb in and runners at first and second. Petey has doubled, grounded to second, and lined out to the shortstop. He's hit it hard a couple of times tonight. 31 hits to lead the American League. Wind gusting a bit out toward left. And right through there for strike one.
His former teammate Agondo, he's only 1 for 11 as Pedroia against him, and that one hit was a home run.
That's a good breeze for a right-hand hitter here on Yawkey Way. Vasquez and Betts aboard. Toward right field, Markakis heading toward the line, and he'll make the catch. Vasquez will tag, and he will advance from second to third, but it did not fall in. They're on the corners with one down for Xander Bogaerts.
Now, Pedroia has been hitting the ball so much that way that Markakis actually was sliding over a little bit toward right field, toward the line, and what looked like a ball like may drop in, Markakis was there to make the play. Ball off the bat, you say, well, he's got a chance. Then you look up, and there's the right fielder sitting right there. One good thing about it, though, it is an out. A runner tags at second and gets to third with only one out.
Now Xander Bogaerts, who has not made an out, he's walked twice and doubled. 5-2 Atlanta. And they're on at first and third, and he'll take down and in. The runner will go from first. Here's the throw down to second, and Betts goes in sprawling with Vasquez holding at third base. At times tonight, Brzezinski has had a very difficult time just holding on to pitches.
He has, and you know, we've talked about aggressive base running by the Red Sox, and even down by 3, Mookie Betts taking this challenge when the ball bounced off the glove of Brzezinski. Brzezinski looks up, Brzezinski looks up, and he almost can't believe that Betts took off.
Right. It's got to be a pass ball. So now a base hit would make it a 5-4 game. And flared foul to make it 1-1. Xander walking into first inning, walking into fifth. He doubled in between. He had a 6-game hitting streak come to an end last night, but he hit .480 during it. Let's see if he thinks about taking a shot at right field, which he does so often for hits. Tried to pull it, and he chops a foul.
So far, he's seen 2 fastballs. That was the slider. Very few changeups from Agondo. Basically, fastball slider type pitcher.
Vasquez at third base. Mookie Betts at second. Only one out. David Ortiz on deck. Ogando's 1-2. Foul tipped into the mid. He got him. A big time fastball there.
Yeah, big strikeout for Agondo. When you look at the pitch sequence here, you're going to see 3 fastballs and a slider. The first 2 pitches are going to be fastballs. The first one's going to be boxed right there, as you can see by Brzezinski. Betts goes to second, then a foul ball. The run count to 1-1. They go to the breaking ball right there that stays inside. That was a good one to hit, but Bogaerts fouled it off. Then a pitch after the inside breaking ball, a fastball away, picks up the strikeout.
So that does it for Ogondo, and it'll be Hunter Cervenka, the left-hander, coming out of their bullpen. He is brought on to face David Ortiz, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hunter Cervenka will make another appearance, and so far it's gone very well for the youngster. He's compiled 9 consecutive scoreless outings to begin his career. And the batter will be David Ortiz, who's gone 0 for 3 tonight. 2 down, runners at second and third. A lefty-lefty duel, and the first one is low, ball 1. Cervenka has stranded all 6 inherited runners. And he's inherited 2 more here with Vasquez and Betts aboard. And both ready to score on a base hit. Big cut by Big Papi to make it 1-1.
Now that was a big swing by David Ortiz. That was designed to put 3 runs on the board in a hurry. Fortunately for Cervenka, the ball was a little bit away from David and he fouls it off. Now the Braves are in that big shift, and of course at third base, Vasquez, he can get way down the line because there's nobody near him. So any kind of pass ball or wild pitch, you got a chance to score.
The lefties 1-1 to Ortiz.
That ball knocked down by Brzezinski too.
He's had a lot of those tonight. He's also dropped a pop-up. He's been charged with an error back there. The 2-1. Foul tipped off the catcher. Now 2-2.
Looked like one that David wanted to, started at and wanted to stop at because he realized it was not a strike. Starting a little bit early that time, and the ball was not close to the strike zone, and just fouled it off.
Koji getting going in the bullpen. Second and third, 2 down, 2-2 on Ortiz. Cervenka firing. Low for ball 3.
I wouldn't be at all surprised, even on the 3-2 count, that he comes back with a breaking ball here. First base is open. I know you don't want to walk, obviously, the tying run, but I think he's going to throw him a breaking ball, 3-2.
Crowd wants a big hit. Here's the 3-2. Ground ball to the right side into the ship. Peterson collects that, and that'll do it. Red Sox will threaten but strand 2, and at the end of 7, it's still 5-2 Atlanta. Baseball on NESN is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By the 2017 Kia Sportage. Visit anykiadealers.com to learn more. And by the University of Massachusetts, here for a reason. Dave O'Brien and Jerry Remy back with you for the 8th inning. 5-2. The Braves still leading it here. And Tommy Lane will remain on to pitch to face Eric Ibar, who's gone 1 for 3. Get the feeling, Jerry, that a little bit of Monday morning and some of the travel is catching up to this Red Sox team finally?
It's possible, Dave, but you know, you look at the 8 hits on the board for the Red Sox, only the 2 runs.
Fisted ground ball to short. Bogarts will sling it on and get him.
It's been kind of a strange night for Boston, where they haven't really had a lot of threats in this game. They did last inning, 2nd and 3rd. They finally got David as predicted, you know, with a breaking ball on the 3-2 count. But it's been a strange offensive night for John Farrell and his group tonight.
One away from Alex Smith. He's been right in the thick of it tonight for the Braves with a pair of hits, double and a single. And he'll take a strike. Braves are trying to snap an 8-game losing skid. Again, they are already 10.5 games out of first place in their division, the National League East, which is being ruled by Washington. Koji has sat down and Heath Hembree is working again in the Red Sox bullpen.
Had the Red Sox been able to score in that inning a couple of runs, Koji would have been in the ball game.
Two and one on Smith. Nick Markakis, who has 3 hits, is on deck. Atlanta up 5-2 in the 8th. Fly to dead center, racing back Jackie. He's not going to get it. It's onto the warning track. That one was scalded, and Smith can really run quickly into second base. He has 3 hits.
He's had a heck of a night from that number 9 spot in the batting order. 2 doubles and a single, 2 RBIs. That's the breaking ball that gets a lot of home plate right down the middle. And the line drive, as soon as he made contact, you knew that ball was going to be over Bradley's head, as he sprints back as quickly as he possibly can, but really had no opportunity at all to make a catch on that. It was just hit too hard.
For Alex Smith, the first 3-hit game of his career. Now Nick Markakis, who has one tonight, a double and 2 singles, hitting .296. And the left-hand batter knocks it foul for strike 1. Jim Johnson up again in the Atlanta bullpen. 5 runs, 10 hits now for the Braves. 2 runs, 8 hits for the Red Sox. The Braves have made the only 2 errors. Thus far, they have survived them. And if it ends like this, Clay Buchholz would take the loss. Clay would dip to 0-3. He did pitch into the 7th inning. Here's the 0-1 with the runner going. The throw by Vasquez, the tag, and he's out. He's cut down. Vasquez gets another one.
You know, for me, I mean, it's not very good base running right there, because you see that he's taking a step back to the bag. Plus, you got the left-handed hitter at the plate. It's a wide open lane to throw to third, and Vasquez guns him down. For me, you know, I know that having trouble scoring runs, but I don't like that play when a man's already in scoring position. The odds are against you. I mean, if you take a look at his jump, he was actually going back towards second base. They're going to challenge us, maybe.
Yes, they are. Freddie Gonzalez is out. He wants him to take a look.
Now take a look at the runner at second and watch him take a step with his left foot back to the bag, and then he goes. He's flat-footed, And then you got the wide open spot there, but it may be safe when they look at it again. He may have got that hand in there before the tag got on the hip.
Nope, taking a look here.
Another close one.
We slow it down.
I think he's going to be called safe. I think he got the hand in.
Kerwin Danley ruling on the field out at third base. But Freddie Gonzalez with the challenge.
You know, Dave, I'm still not crazy about the play, even if he's called safe.
I agree with you.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Again, he's already in scoring position.
It's quite possible those fingers were on the bag when that tag came right around the hip area.
We've had a couple of incredibly close plays in this one. So they watch it in New York. The play is under review. On the field, Mallex Smith caught stealing by Christian Vasquez. Although, regardless of how they rule on this, that was a dart to third base. Smith going in head first.
Watch the hand. Does the hand get the bag before the tag? That is the question.
And do they have enough evidence to overturn it and rule him safe in the end? And taking a good long look too.
That's a tough one. From that angle right there is very difficult to tell.
We're in the 8th inning and Atlanta has a 5-2 lead. They were only briefly behind tonight. So we'll see what comes out of this on a challenge by Freddie Gonzalez. Showing it up on the big board at Fenway and slowing it down.
Umpires, they always look up at that big board, but the decision usually comes from New York.
And they have a ruling. And they're going to rule Smith out. So they stay with the call and a caught stealing. More celebration here for Christian. You know, it's running in that situation, and it's running with Vasquez behind the plate.
Well, nothing through the whole stolen or attempted stolen base made sense to me. You know, the fact that he was going back towards second base for one thing. He was at standstill, and you got a left-hander at the plate, MARKAKIS. So you got a wide open throw to third base for one thing. You got MARKAKIS, who's got 3 hits in the game at the plate, and you're in scoring position.
Sure. So Smith's had a good game, but you don't want to remember that out of what he's done tonight with 3 hits. MARKAKIS has driven in 3 runs, and there's another hit for him. He has a 4-hit game.
And that's kind of what we were talking about. MARKAKIS with a big night, swinging the bat very well. 3 hits off Buchholz in the game. Now the 1 off Lane. That would have been another run. Out comes John Farrell to make the move.
With Daniel Castro coming up, he's going to bring on Heath Hembree. So we'll take the break as well. The Braves leading it here 5-2 in the 8th inning, and we'll have more in a moment. Red Sox Braves series is brought to you by Jeep, the most awarded SUV lineup ever. As we take a look at the pitching matchup tomorrow with the Yankees coming to town. Tanaka against Henry Owens, who went short on Sunday, just 3 1/3 against Houston. And of course, we'll have it for you right here on NESN. First of a 3-game series. And as Henry all hooded up tonight against the chill. About 47 degrees inside the ballpark. Keith Hembree will come on to pitch and attempt to keep it right where it is. The Red Sox certainly within striking distance. 5-2 Atlanta. Hembree has been impressive.
Yeah, 3 games so far for Heath. He's got a record of 1-0. 7 2/3, only 4 hits, 1 walk, and 11 strikeouts so far on the season.
There are 2 out after the caught stealing. MARKAKIS at first, Castro the batter. He's gone 0 for 4. 5 runs, 11 hits for Atlanta, 2 runs on 8 hits for the Red Sox tonight. Red Sox are going to have to fight from behind to win their 5th consecutive game. Looks like Baltimore is going to win big. Not many games in the majors on this Thursday night. Very light schedule. That dips downstairs for a ball. Now 2-0. A partial schedule.
Yeah, a lot of teams off on travel Thursday. Getting ready for the weekend series coming up.
Here's the 2-0 to Castro. High, bounded to third. Shaw gloves that and guns. And nice play at first base by Hanley. That will retire the side. So despite a couple of hits, they don't score. To the bottom of the 8th, 5-2 Atlanta. Miss Red Sox first pitch presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC and Steve Lyons will give you a special look at Roger Clemens' Major League record 20 strikeout game. And back inside Fenway, 5-2 Atlanta. They've had that lead since they tacked on another run in the 6th inning. They'll go to their bullpen again and bring on Jim Johnson, and he will become their 4th reliever. Chacin, their starter, pitched into the 6th inning, and he can gain the victory tonight. And a ways to go yet. Last of the 8th, and Hanley Ramirez about to lead things off. Then Travis Shaw and Chris Young trying to put together a strong offensive inning. Sox with single runs in the 1st and the 3rd, and that's been it. Hanley's had a good night. He's 3 for 3 with 2 singles and a double. And he starts the 8th inning against Johnson, the tall right-hander. Hanley has come close to hitting 2 or 3 home runs in this 4-game series. A sharp one Ibar spins, guns, and gets him in a nice play at short. Time now for our tools of the trade presented by Stanley. And today, this was an unusual sight here at Fenway. Pitchers fielding practice. Stanley, the official tool of the Boston Red Sox.
Every once in a while, you know, we see this like every day in spring training, and they don't like to let a lot of time go by without doing it again. And the Red Sox doing a little bit of that work here early this afternoon. And of course, in spring training, we see that every single day.
Yes. It's a ritual. There comes Brock Holt coming to the on deck area, not starting tonight, but about to hit for Chris Young, it looks like. Travis Shaw's popped up, grounded out, and hit into a double play. So now 3-16. Trying to get the offense rolling here with one down in the 8th. He was out in front, down he goes, strike 3. It's been a quiet night for Travis. And they're 2 away. Speedway is proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience for every Sox homer. Speedway donates $500 to the Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway store nearest you and pick up your Speedway rewards card to start earning points today.
Johnson, who had his best years with the Baltimore Orioles, pretty good curveball right there for the strikeout against Shaw. He threw him a couple of breaking balls, and looks like the second one he took a little bit more off.
So Brock Holt being announced, a pinch hit, and will stay in the game. 5-2 Atlanta here in the 8th. Chris Young went 1 for 3 with a double. Brock was 0 for 4 last night. That ended his consecutive game streak, reaching base at 20 in a row. Actually going back to last year. The Braves were the team he hit for the cycle against here last June 16th. In play, but right to Peterson. And the Red Sox go quickly, 1-2-3. We are headed for the 9th inning at Fenway. Still 5-2 the Braves. Brought to you by Xfinity. Big night for Nick Markakis of the Atlanta Braves. 4 for 5. He's driven in 3 runs. Malik Smith 3 for 4 with a pair of doubles. Clay Buchholz pitched into the 7th inning. Right now he's on the hook for the loss. And Hanley Ramirez 3 for 4 with 2 runs batted in. All adding up to 5-2 Atlanta as we go to the 9th inning. First ball swinging, Garcia with a fly to right field. And Mookie Betts with a catch. This is our cricket something to smile about moment. And Vasquez with a caught stealing with his celebration. Slapping that glove. Like to see that. Throwing another outstanding throw down to third base. Freddie Freeman here, and he'll take a ball outside.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about Vasquez and his throwing. It is still not what it was prior to Tommy John. It's coming back. It's stronger now than it was in spring training, and will continue to get stronger.
Somewhere between 90 and 95%. But you're right, it's going to get stronger. Pretty darn good right now.
Yeah, between his quick release and his throwing ability, he's one of those guys when you get out first base, you go,
Stop sign. Freeman has walked. He's also singled 2 times. So he's come to life in recent games, even though he's only hitting .237. That's a big improvement from just a few days ago. If the Braves win, they end an 8-game losing skid. They would also break the Red Sox winning streak at 4 in a row. 2-1 pitch zipped in there for a strike. In the bottom of the 9th inning, the Red Sox would have due up Jackie Bradley, Christian Vasquez, and Mookie Betts. They have a couple of singles between them at this point. There's one pulled down the right field line. Betts has to give chase. That'll be another hit for Freeman. He has a 3-hit game, so the Braves have 3 guys in the lineup tonight with at least 3 hits.
Yeah, he's swinging the bat very well. He came into the game 5 for his last 11. He is 3 for 4 in the game tonight, including a walk. Gets the breaking ball that time from Henry, the curveball, and he jumps all over it for that topspin line drive. He's got that uppercut swing, and that contact a lot of times will give it a topspin rotation as it heads to the outfield.
Here's Brzezinski. He's 0 for 4. He is lined to right, fly to center, fly to right, and grounded to second base. Ground ball. Pedroia with a dive to second. On to first. Safe. Very nearly a spectacular double play, as it was a tremendous stop by Pedroia.
Yeah, just for Pedroia to get to that ground ball was a pretty amazing play as it is. Red Sox taking a peek to see if they're going to challenge this. There's the dive, the flip to second base. Bogaerts comes across. And do they get Brzezinski at first? Another close play. No, he beats it.
So no challenge. They will bring on a runner for him.
From that position, it's very tough to get the ball out of the glove, and Pedroia, almost with his elbow on the ground, makes the flip to Bogaerts.
Stubbs will run for A.J. Brzezinski. And here's Francoeur, who has gone 0 for 3 and been intentionally walked tonight. 5-2 Atlanta. They have out hit the Red Sox 12-8. So the Red Sox will have to rally against the Atlanta bullpen come the bottom of the 9th. If they're going to continue this winning streak. Francoeur, now 32 years old, coming back to Atlanta after about 7 or 8 years away. Back to his hometown and still swinging it like that virtually every time, and the count's 0-1.
Breaking ball that time from Henry, and Vasquez was looking to throw to first base after the no contact swing. You'll see Vasquez make the catch after the swing and just take a peek down there, but not far enough off the bag to make an attempt.
The 0-1 bounced up there. Nice stop again by Vasquez. Stop me when you've heard that too many times.
You can't hear it too many times. I mean, it's been unbelievable. He's been great in this game tonight. Going to his forehand, his backhand, every place.
The 1-1 pitch to FRANCOEUR and fouled back upstairs. They have Vizcaino going in their bullpen. Clay Buchholz went 6 1/3. Tommy Lane and Heath Hembree out of the bullpen. And hoping for a comeback. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Runner goes. Here's the throw, and will not get him. So Stubbs with a stolen base.
You kind of expected him to go. I mean, he comes in as a pinch runner, so you don't expect him to stand at first base. And I think the Red Sox were expecting that he would go, but this is a stolen base clearly off Hembree. You see Hembree with a fairly high leg kick. And then by the time Vasquez, who got rid of the ball very quickly, gets to the second base, they really had no chance to get Stubbs at all. So another man in scoring position.
And a 2-2 to Frenchie. Put in play, and a nice play by Hembree as he snaps that and gets him to retire the side. 1 man left. We're going to the bottom of the 9th inning. Vizcaino coming on. 5-2 Atlanta. This Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. TC and Steve Lyons preview the Red Sox first series against the New York Yankees coming up on Friday. DCU is Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Well, bottom of the 9th inning, the Red Sox need 3 to tie and force this game to extra innings. Vizcaino out of the bullpen. He's been tough. He owns a 16 2/3 inning scoreless streak going back over 18 games. And he has a new catcher too in Tyler Flowers. Jackie Bradley will start it here in the 9th inning. He has gone 1 for 3 with a single, leaving Jackie at 243 with 1 home run. And he'll take ball 1.
Good velocity, 97 on that first pitch.
Josh Rutledge on deck to hit for Vasquez. And Mookie Betts after him. And a strike. The Red Sox 4-game win streak on the line. Here at Fenway tonight, the 1-1 and roll foul. Atlanta's kind of pieced it together with the bullpen tonight, with O'Flaherty and Ogando and Cervenka and Johnson and now Vizcaino. And the way things are going for Atlanta and Freddie Gonzalez, they could care less how they piece it together as long as it's a win. They've lost 8 straight. 2-2 to count. Has the makings of a very long summer in Atlanta.
Yeah, it certainly does. And to win this game obviously would break a streak for them.
Cut on and missed, strike 3. Down goes Jackie Bradley.
Well, we talked about a good fastball, and that last fastball was 99 miles an hour. Right by Jackie Bradley. And it's my best against your best, and Vizcaino won that battle at 99.
So Rutledge to hit for Vasquez. Christian Vasquez went 1 for 3 with a base hit tonight. Rutledge has been swinging a real good bat. He takes one in there for a strike again at 99. Five to the Braves in the 9th. Mookie Betts is next. Oh, and 2.
Well, the reason Rutledge hitting in this situation, you don't have another lefty on the bench. They've already used Brock Holt. He's in the ball game. Red Sox going with a 3-man bench, electing to carry extra pitchers.
Swung on and missed, and down he goes, strike 3. The tag applied by Flowers to put away Rutledge. Back-to-back Ks here in the 9th inning.
Yeah, you're sitting on, you're trying to sit on a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Then he throws you the slider, and not much of a chance right there. That ball never really in the strike zone. But again, when you're thinking about the velocity the guy has, and he throws you a breaking ball, those kind of swings happen.
Mookie Betts now, he has struck out twice and grounded to first base. He's also walked tonight. Red Sox failing to muster much offense in this one, just 8 hits and 2 runs. And those came early. The Red Sox have not scored since the 3rd. And Vizcaino with an 0-1. Foul back and went at 98. So the Red Sox down to their last strike. It's an 8-game hit streak on the line. Dustin Pedroia hoping to bat here in the 9th inning. He has a double tonight. The Yankees in town tomorrow. Here's the 0-2. Went back to that breaking ball. Henry Owens against Masahiro Tanaka at 7:10 tomorrow. First of 3 against the Yankees. For the first time in 2016, the ancient rivals to meet. And a 1-2 to Mookie. Now 2-2. Porcello against Pineda on Saturday, and Price against Eovaldi on Sunday. And the Red Sox will hit the road for Chicago to take on that White Sox team that's been tearing it up, although they took one on the chin 10-2 to Baltimore.
A lot of the Yankees over the next week and a half, and of course Chicago sandwiched in between them.
2-2 up the middle and a base hit. So the Sox still have a pulse here in the 9th inning. A 2-out single for Mookie.
Well, they have a pulse, and Mookie extends his hitting streak now to 9 games. A 357 clip. Gets that fastball away and shoots it right under the glove of Vizcaino.
So that gets the inning to Dustin Pedroia, who's gone 1 for 4 with a double. He scored the first run of the game in the first inning. Red Sox made a habit of scoring first, but Atlanta came right back at 3 in the second, and they have led ever since. There goes Mookie, and the pitch is up and in for ball 1. So they'll give him second base. Xander Bogaerts on deck. There are 2 out here in the bottom of the 9th, 5-2 Atlanta. Pedroia drove in 5 runs to tie a career high last night, trying to pick up his first RBI in this one. Could make it really interesting. Vizcaíno with a 1-0. There's a shot driven toward the wall. That's going to find some green. Here comes the run in. That'll be a long single. Mookie Betts scores, and that'll make it 5-3. Another one tagged by Pedroia.
Well, Pedroia, who basically has gone the other way almost all night, tonight against the hard fastball, or this at bat I should say, pulls it. He gets that fastball about letter high inside, and that's the one he likes to tomahawk. Gets his hands about even with the baseball. The bat elevated in contact and plants it off that left field wall. Betts, who they let walk to second base, comes in to score to make it a 2-run game.
So 5-3, and here's Xander. He's gone 1 for 2 with a double. There's a high chop deep short, flagged down by Ibar. He goes into second, and that will end it. The force play ends the ball game. 5-3 the final score. A late rally, but not enough TC for the Red Sox. So the 4-game winning streak is history, and the Yankees come in on Friday. And there you have it.